Pioneer circuit preachers.
Yeah, in the bad old days when there was basically nobody in the Oregon country, except for some homesteaders and of course the Native American tribes, there were certain professions that were underrepresented among the pioneer frontier communities. Stuff like physicians and OBGYNs and teachers, yeah, things like that. And so everybody sort of had to shift for themselves. They had to whipsaw their own lumber. They had to birth their own babies and so forth. And of course, one of those professions was the town preacher. And so to take care of everybody's spiritual needs, the churches would have these circuit riders who would have a regular circuit that they would do, like a patrol, like there were a cop that has a regular beat to walk. And so they would go from town to town, and people would wait for them to show up.
Multi-denominational?
Some of them were, but most of them were. There were like Methodist circuit riders and Baptist circuit riders, and the demand for this kind of thing. I mean, like you could get married. If you died, basically, you were going to need to be buried by whoever was on site, and whoever could preach your service would preach it, and then that would be it. But if you were getting ready to get married, you and your fiance might not want to have the local justice of the peace perform a ceremony. Some of those guys were pretty rough and ready. There's a story about one particular one who had a standard formula, and this was in one of the cities that is now in Idaho, but at the time it was part of the Oregon Territory. And he would actually, his swearing in, or his, it's more like a swearing at to marry couples, he would literally, he'd say something along the lines, I'm trying to remember the exact words, but take hold of hands. What God and me put together, no one can put asunder. Now you kissed her. Now you're married. And that was it. Right? And supposedly,
how much did that cost?
I'm sure it was free. I mean, it was the justice of the peace. But my there is a story which may or may not be true, but I really hope it is, that on one particular occasion, he was in a big hurry and grabbed the wrong well-dressed gentleman, and 12 seconds of uninterruptible swearing at later, he had married the bride off to the best man. Not sure if it's true, but you can imagine, couples might want to wait until the circuit preacher got to town to have a somewhat more dignified ceremony.
Absolutely. And like, how big was their region? Are we talking about, half the state?
Well, Lemuel Wells was the Episcopalian circuit rider and a real character, too, for most of Washington, most of Oregon, all of Idaho, and part of Montana.
Wow.
And that would have been around 1850 to 1870 or so.
So if you were an Episcopalian, you were going to be waiting a while to get married.
Yeah, well, there may have been other circuit riders too, but yeah, you probably were. Or you could, settle for being married by the Baptist minister when he came through, although he probably would have something to say about your wanting to have, adult beverages at the reception.
What was their standing? Were these people, as they came in, were they accepted? Were they respected? What was the appreciation level?
Yeah, they were definitely valued. I mean, it was kind of like a traveling doctor. They were a very valuable provider of services, and it was looked forward to. They would come and they would preach a nice, big, rousing sermon and perform any ceremonies and things like that, and then they'd be on their way. One of the most famous circuit riders in Oregon actually is the man who gave the first prayer in the state legislature the first time it met, a fellow named Uncle Joab Powell. And he was widely beloved. He was a bear of a man, just a mountain of a guy, just under 6 feet tall, which was really tall in 1860. Yeah. And with a voice that could be heard echoing off of Mount Hood when he started hollering in Southern Oregon, really quite a character. His prayer the first prayer that opened the first legislative meeting of the legislature of the state of Oregon was something along the lines of, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." And then he sat down. It was,
that needs to happen today. I think that tradition needs to carry on down to the 21st century, my friend.
it must have. Apparently, they didn't. There's actually, Uncle Joab was responsible directly or indirectly for a number of political firsts in our state. Actually, there was that one, right? The first prayer of the legislature, the first, I believe the term would be sick burn, laid down upon a political establishment. But he also, well, they had hired him for $30, and he was the most well-known preacher in the state, and he was a Baptist, which was a nice, a good denomination, they figured. And these guys, these frontier legislators, they're for the first legislative assembly, they thought, well, we really kind of need some spiritual, like we need a chaplain. So let's go find the most famous one. So they go out to the forks of the Santiam River, around the Jefferson area, which is where Uncle Joab lived with his wife. Now, Uncle Joab was illiterate, but his wife wasn't, and his wife would read to the family, and he had a reasonably good memory. So sometimes he wouldn't remember his Bible verses exactly the way the King James Bible said them, but he got his point across. And they had a family. They were the leaders of a family of 14. Now, you don't keep 14 kids and adults in store-bought clothes when you're, homesteading and circuit preaching. So Uncle Joab arrived at the legislature in homespun clothing that his wife had basically made for him, smelling kind of farmish because he had been shoveling manure when they arrived to invite him to come. So there he is, and he gives that first prayer in the first assembly, and the legislators are like, did he really just do that? Maybe we don't need him after all. Let's fire him. Let's do without. Yeah. So they did. They went to him and they said, look, it's all been a terrible mistake. We'd really like it if you would kind of go on home now and leave us to, wallow in our misery. Thank you. He said, oh, yeah, sure. You're very affable about it. No problem, boys. I'm really glad to help. Just give me my $30 and I'll be on my way. And that is when it became clear that for the first time ever, once again, this is a statewide first, deficit spending had been engaged in. They didn't have the $30 in the budget. No, there's what, 3 dozen
Things haven't
legislators?
changed at all, have they?
Not really. there's what, I don't know, 2 or 3 dozen legislators. You'd think they would just pass a kitty, right? Everybody throws in 2 bits and he's on his way. But they're like, well, we can't do that because we want to keep our money. So they decided to have they called it a grand entertainment starring Uncle Joab in Salem, hoping to make $30 at the gate. And so they pitched the idea to Uncle Joab, and Uncle Joab was game. So they set this thing up. Turned out that they severely underestimated Salem's thirst for grand entertainment. They ended up with about $300 worth of ticket sales. And the legislators now were really nervous because they were remembering that, that 20-second prayer that he had opened up the legislative assembly with. They'd all been settling down for a good long discourse about, the brave new world that they were embarking upon and wonderful new, God has blessed our this land and blah, blah, blah. And what they get is a quote from from the Bible that kind of lumps them in with Pontius Pilate. Not really what they wanted. So they're worried that he's going to do that to the entire city of Salem, and it's going to be on them. So Senator Victor Trevitt, who was probably one of the guys who wanted Uncle Joab to leave because he actually ran a saloon, so Uncle Joab didn't like him very much. He got some kids and gave them a whole bunch of quarters that they had taken at the gate, and he said, okay, now, if he starts winding down or looks like he's going to walk off the stage, shower him with money and yell, encore, encore, and maybe he'll keep talking and, we won't. So they did this, and so Uncle Joab made, back his $30 and lots of tips. And this was the first episode of the state actually throwing money at a problem to make it go away. So see all these firsts. And then off goes Uncle Joab back to his farm with his $30 plus tips. And the legislators are sitting around looking at all this money and going, well, what are we going to do with this? And finally, one of them came up with the idea that they should set aside a room in the Capitol and stock it with liquor as a little den of iniquity where they could go when the press of business became too oppressive. And so there we have it, another first.
Did Uncle Joab ever find out about the little Capitol den of iniquity?
I don't know. If he did, he didn't see fit to
comment on it.
Make a big deal about it. A big enough deal to resonate down through the past 170 years to today.
I wonder, okay, so I'm just sitting here wondering what part of the Capitol today is the actual little den of iniquity?
Oh, it would have been the Capitol. There was a building in Corvallis. No, wait, it was in Salem. So it would have been the first building in Salem, but it was like a temporary structure. Mm-hmm. The first Capitol building was in Corvallis. I'm trying to remember how this worked, but very briefly in Corvallis, but Salem was the actual capital, so then they had to move there. But yeah, the Capitol building that we have today dates from, I think, 1930.
Yeah, after the first one,
something,
or the second one burned down.
Yeah.
Let's take a break. 6:43 more with Finn John coming up on KPNW.
Hi, this is Brian Sutherland, owner of Amco Transmissions in Springfield. For years, Amco in Springfield has been repairing your cars and trucks' most complicated system, the transmission. So it's no wonder people come to us with all sorts of problems. Don't take any chances. Bring your car to Amco in Springfield. We'll diagnose it right, repair it for a fair price, and back it with a nationwide warranty. Whether it's your car, truck, or motorhome, call Amco Springfield, 541-726-6824, or find us on Facebook. That's AAMCO.
Plan your escape to Bend and make River House on the Deschutes your home base for Central Oregon adventure. Completely renovated inside and out, River House on the Deschutes offers spacious rooms with picturesque views of the Deschutes River, melding Northwest style with a fresh contemporary sensibility. River House on the Deschutes is minutes from downtown Bend, conveniently close to Bend's numerous retail districts and breweries, and a short drive from hiking, biking, and recreational fun in the Cascade Mountains. End the day at our hotel by sitting on the patio enjoying food and friends, relax in our swimming pools, or dine at Currents, a riverside dining experience offering innovative Northwest cuisine. Visit riverhouse.com and use promo code RADIO. Book in advance for late summer and fall and save 20% off Riverview rooms. Don't forget to use the promo code RADIO. Some restrictions apply, not valid with any other offers. To learn more, visit riverhouse.com.
When you donate your unwanted used vehicle to St. Vincent de Paul, you're likely to maximize the tax deduction you receive. That's because we sell your vehicle right here on our own car lot. So do something nice for yourself and those who will benefit from your generosity. Donate your used vehicle to St. Vincent de Paul. That way, everyone wins. St. Vincent de Paul. We're in the phone book and online.
This message is sponsored by St. Vincent de Paul in association with Eugene area radio stations. Ears.
In my line of work, I'm trying to make a difference. Not $1 billion, but I want to save for the future, too. So this year, I partnered with TIAA to help me map out a plan. If I stick to it, I could have an income stream for life and maintain my lifestyle in retirement. Looks like a life of rewarding work could pay off for a lifetime.
Your personal success takes a financial partner who values it as much as you do. Learn more at TIAA.org.
You're unique, so why is your mattress one size fits all? Because a custom mattress costs thousands, until now. Hi, I'm Christian von Rickenbach, founder of HelixSleep.com, where you can buy a mattress online, customized for you, for hundreds of dollars instead of thousands. Go to HelixSleep.com, answer a few simple questions, and we build you the most comfortable mattress you'll ever sleep on. Shipping is free, and you have 100 nights to try it out. Go to HelixSleep.com/go and get $50 off your order. HelixSleep.com/go.
KPNW weather brought to you by Ramjack West. Do you have foundation problems? Ramjack can fix that. Get your free quote at ramjackwest.com.
Good morning to you and yours. If you're headed out there in the next few minutes, you're already out and about. We are tracking patchy dense fog off and on, otherwise mostly clear skies above the fog banks. Temps right now pretty mild in the upper 40s to low 50s, and we've got light winds out of the north at 5 to 10. This afternoon we'll see that fog burn off by about 11 a.m., then we'll see clear skies. Temps are going to rise in the upper 70s to low 80s thanks to a ridge of high pressure coming up from California. That same ridge will increase the winds. We're looking at a breezy afternoon into the evening with winds out of the north at 15 to 20. A few gusts up to 25. Now this ridge of high pressure actually looks to sit over the area for the next several days, deflecting the cold fronts and storm systems back up into Washington state and Canada, keeping things somewhat warm here, going up a few degrees each day until Saturday. We're back in the mid-80s before another cold front rushes in late Saturday night into your Sunday. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Nation, the NBC 16 Weather Center, hoping you have a great day.
This is Congressman Peter DeFazio.
It's great that you're listening to the Wake Up Call here on 1120 KPNW, and I always find the show a great way to get the day started. We'll take that, yeah, Bill?
The Wake Up Call with Holloway in London. News Radio 1120 KPNW.
12 away from 7 o'clock, Thursday morning, 1120 KPNW with Ben John. Offbeat Oregon is the website if you want to check out more stories. Talking about Pioneer Circuit pastors, which I think it's covered a lot when you hear people talk about history and you see archives of Oregon's history. Leave it to Finn John to bring up a couple of stories. You got anything else to add?
Well, on the circuit riders story, I've actually got a couple other pretty good ones. There was Ethelbert Talbert, who was the
I love the names.
Yeah, Ethelbert. But he was the Episcopal, or a future Episcopal bishop, but he was an Episcopalian circuit rider, and the Episcopalians, of course, they're not one of the hardcore temperance groups like the Methodists, about which more in a little bit. But anyway, so they found it really kind of convenient to cooperate with the local saloon keepers to sort of help keep folks on the straight and narrow. And this particular fellow in Murray, Idaho, and I think this was before Idaho's territory was split off from the Oregon territory, but it might have been after that. His church was right next door to the local saloon, and so the two of them got along very well, Talbert and the publican next door. But the problem was that they were a little bit concerned that there would be noisy roistering in the saloon during church services, which could be suboptimal. So they worked out this arrangement that at services time, the saloon keeper would close up for 2 hours. That's all, gents. Let's go next door and hear the Reverend talk. And out the door and around the corner would go this crowd of day drinkers that now the taps were off and they had to go and soak up some religion before they went back and resumed their celebrations. But lots of them had gotten, a good deal of progress made on their, beer buzz.
They're drunk on?
Yes, exactly. Lots of them had their drunk mostly, if not all the way on, by the time they got to services. And on one particular occasion, Talbert was preaching a sermon on the parable of the Pharisee and the publican. A gracious little nod to the saloon keeper next door, because, of course, that would be a publican, too. So he proceeded to talk about the pride and self-complacency of the Pharisee and the humility and graciousness of the publican. As he's doing this, one of his audience members from the saloon next door is starting to look like he's having none of it. And he's muttering, and finally he leaps to his feet and he goes, "That's so wrong!" And all of the other people, all the other day drinkers jump up and grab him and hustle him out the door. Presumably they were kind of happy to have a chance to go back to the saloon. It's a good excuse. Right. But they finally figured out what the guy was yelling about. The day drinker was a hardcore Democrat, see, and all this praise of the Republican Party without so much as a nod to the, I guess it would be Democratic Party, I'm sorry, was not, had just been more than he could take. So, yeah, there was that. But then there were other there were other denominations that didn't really have that option, like the Methodists. And there was one particular circuit rider named James Wilbur. Ethelbert Talbert, by the time this story happened, wasn't a circuit rider anymore. He had settled down in that town. But Father Wilbur, James H. Wilbur, was a famous Methodist rider. And in the gold fields of the Umpqua area during the 1850s, during the gold rush, he was leading basically a tent revival out at the Diggins, a week-long thing for nearby miners, and it had attracted a large crowd of miners, and it had also attracted, some ancillary services in the form of two guys with a wagon loaded with booze and a tent. And they would set up this kind of portable saloon thing and pour drinks for everybody. And so they parked this thing as close to the revival tent as they dared. And you can imagine how this went over with the Methodists, especially considering that they were close enough that people who were listening to revivalists preaching and, Methodist ministrations were also listening to people whooping and hollering and breaking bottles and things. So finally, a group of drunken miners fresh off this wagon decided to attend services, and at the back of the congregation they were yelling and being disruptive, and finally Father Wilbur decided he was done, and he goes, "Sing something, I'll be right back." And fired up with a righteous wrath, the good pastor stealthily snuck over to the booze wagon, caught the two proprietors alone and unawares, and grabbed a bottle of whiskey, and using it as a club, set about getting the local earthworms just as drunk as skunks. Broke every bottle in the place. There's like cheap whiskey and rum flying everywhere. The two liquor peddlers jumped on him, but Father Wilbur was a big, burly man, and he was also stone sober, unlike the two liquor peddlers. So finally, after he had broken every single bottle, he told them to get out and stay out, which they immediately did. And then, so at this point, right, he's bleeding from several cuts from flying glass, and he straggles back to the congregation and finishes up his preaching like nothing was wrong, with his blood on his shirt and a cut on his head. And
they just don't make preachers like they used to.
I guess not.
It's being proactive is what that is there.
That was definitely frontier proactive activity.
It's interesting. One of our listeners writes in and says, I had several uncles who were early pioneer Methodist circuit preachers, as they were called. My family all settled in Benton County and Lane from the first wagon trains. And she sent pictures of one of them. His name is Reverend Noah Ashbury Starr, another great name.
That is a great name.
Born in Monroe County, Ohio, died in Springfield in 1881. Circuit extended from Clackamas to the Columbia River and from the Willamette to the Cascades.
I wonder if he's related to Addison Starr, the Portland guy, former mayor.
I don't know. Huh. Kathy, if you're listening right now, he's kind of a striking, she sent a picture, he's a striking figure and quite a beard.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a full beard. That's not a beard, that's a lawn.
That's a chin curtain. I don't know how he managed to keep it so orderly.
Trim.
Yeah. that's an accomplishment right there.
Now there he is as an older guy. Now he looks more like one of the guys off the cough drop thing.
He looks like a rock. He looks like, he just has that set in his eyes, like he's just, you could, when he says something, he looks like the kind of guy who can tell you something and then you can go to the bank on it.
Did you say did you compare him to The Rock?
Not The Rock, a Rock.
Oh, a Rock.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. For somebody maybe who wants to check out Offbeat Oregon, kind of give it an overview. Do you and maybe recall the first the story that initially kind of grabbed you in Oregon history?
Oh yeah, that was definitely the exploding whale.
It's grabbed a lot of people.
The exploding whale story was kind of what got me started, but it was sort of initially inspired by a visit to the 804 trail out at Yachats. We were staying in a hotel there, the Overleaf, I think it was, and I was walking out on the trail and reading the signs and thinking, I didn't know anything about this. I've lived in this place all my life. And I've never really kind of looked at it. It's kind of like you're a fish in a tank and you don't really notice the water. It's just kind of always been there. So that was kind of when I decided to start like looking into this, and also I had just gone back to graduate school and quit my job and felt like I really needed a deadline in my life.
Not bad. Good idea.
Finn John, Offbeat Oregon, the adventures continue. Thanks so much for coming down.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Appreciate that. Finn John, again, Offbeat Oregon. Hour number 2 coming up. We got a full one at that. Welcome to a Thursday. Conley in the Ader.
It's time to gear up for fall at John Deere with a new compact utility tractor. Get 0% financing for 60 months, big implement bonuses, and our free 6-year powertrain warranty on versatile, easy-to-use John Deere compact tractors. It's time to gear up today and save. Offer ends October 28, 2016, subject to approved installment credit with John Deere Financial. Terms, conditions, exclusions, and warranty limitations apply. See dealer for details.
Visit any of Pape Machinery's 21 locations for great deals on John Deere equipment. Or online at papemachinery.com. That's PAPE machinery.com and myjohndeeredealer.com.
Hey, Russell Wilson here, and I know how important exercise is.
It's essential. It's essential.
With Play 60, United Way and the NFL are helping kids stay active and play at least 60 minutes a day.
Healthy kids, healthy kids.
But what this place needs is you. To donate or volunteer, go to unitedway.org/play60 because great things happen when we live united.
Donate.
Are you guys going to do that every time?
Yes, of course. Yes, of course.
Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
News Radio 1120 KPNW.
It's Spa-tember at Three Rivers Casino. And we've got all the hot and bubbly giveaways you are dreaming of. That's right, we are giving away 11 DuraSport Cypress Spas valued at $2,249. Earn entry September 1st through the 30th in Florence and Coos Bay. Drawings will be held in Florence September 18th and 25th from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. and September 30th from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Visit threeriverscasino.com for details. Then, attention all music lovers, Ziggy Stardust will be playing his guitar once again at Three Rivers Casino Resort in Florence. That's right, this September 16th and 17th, we will host the phenomenal tribute performance Space Oddity featuring David Brighton as David Bowie. Tickets start at just $14.99. Reserve your seats now by visiting threeriverscasino.com and experience the genius of David Bowie once again. Relax in luxury and relive the best of Bowie at Three Rivers Casino Resort because things are luckier here.
Sherman Brothers Trucking is looking for regional flatbed and tanker drivers. Great benefits include medical, dental, vision, 401k, and paid vacation. They're also looking for certified diesel mechanics. Sherman Brothers has been family-owned since 1969 and offers a great work environment. Sherman Brothers prides themselves on the quality of their employees and the service the company provides. Excellent training and quality management will help you reach your goals. Check out ShermanTrucking.com for more details or call 800-457-1459 today.
We report, you decide. This is News Radio 1120 KPNW, Eugene, Springfield, USA.
Fox News Radio, I'm Dave Anthony.
Last night was yet another test, and Donald Trump failed yet again.
Hillary Clinton saying the Republican bad-mouthed American generals and praised Russia's president.
That is not just unpatriotic and insulting.
It's scary, she added, speaking near her plane at a New York airport where Clinton just finished taking reporters' questions. The Democrat says if she's elected, she would go after ISIS's leader, just like we took out Osama bin Laden. Now, Clinton was referencing what Donald Trump said at an NBC News forum last night when the Republican said he'd defeat ISIS getting different advice.
I think under the leadership of Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, the generals have been reduced to rubble.
And he called Vladimir Putin a better leader than President Obama. The president took a swipe of his own at Trump, wrapping up a trip to Asia earlier today. Fox's Alistair Wanklin live in Vientiane, Laos.
Yeah, the president laid into Republican candidate Donald Trump, saying he seems to get a free pass on his, quote, outright wacky ideas.
And you actually have to know what you're talking about, and you actually have to have done your homework. And when you speak, it should actually reflect thought-out policy that you can implement.
Meanwhile, the president said a spat this week with the Philippine leader will not affect ties with that U.S. ally. He said when newly elected President Rodrigo Duterte settles into office, he hopes dialogue will resume. Dave?
Alistair, House Republicans keep investigating Hillary Clinton's emails. She was not asked about that at the news conference a few moments ago. In particular, they want to know about thousands of emails that were deleted. Congressman Jason Chaffetz said to the committee that it's holding a hearing this hour, and he tells Fox.
We had to issue a subpoena to the State Department just to get the witnesses for this morning, and if we need subpoenas to go out for the witnesses on Monday and Tuesday, of course we're going to issue those, and I expect them to show up.
This is Fox News Radio. Fair and balanced.
It's fall. That can mean football weather or a blazing heat wave, depending on what Mother Nature has in mind. Don't sweat Mother Nature's moodiness. Talk to the home comfort specialists at Beamer Heating and Sheet Metal for help. They have advanced heating and cooling systems from Lennox that can keep your home perfectly comfortable, no matter what's going on outside. And right now, Beamer Heating and Sheet Metal is offering up to a $1,600 rebate and 9.99% financing on a qualifying new Lennox system. That's up to a $1,600 rebate on an innovative, highly efficient heating and cooling system that can put you in control of your home comfort and your monthly utility bills. So seize the day. Call the experts at Beamer Heating and Sheet Metal right now at 541-688-5004. That's 541-688-5004. Or visit them online at beamerheating.com. License number 4483.
Stocks are falling on Wall Street, where Fox Business Network's Nicole Petalides is live.
Right now, the Dow Jones Industrial Average down 56 points at 18,470. The Nasdaq Composite down 24 points. The S&P 500 pulling back by 5 for the week. The Dow is slightly lower, while the Nasdaq and the S&P are still holding on to gains. Energy and utilities do hold on to some up arrows. Apple, Nike, Intel are under pressure. The European Central Bank left rates unchanged. Jobless claims fell slightly. Kohl's is to the downside, going to be carrying some American Girl products. And SuperValue cut its guidance, and that is to the downside. Dave?
Thank you, Nicole. The price of oil has been up today by about $1. It's back over $46 a barrel, but gas is a little bit cheaper. AAA's national average today is down to near $2.18 a gallon. There's a big recall from Mazda. 759,000 vehicles in the U.S. that need to be repaired because rear hatches can fall on people, causing injury. This involves some models of Mazda 3 cars, Mazda 5 vans, and some CX-5 and CX-3 SUVs. Well, this isn't so sweet. Mike and Ike go on strike.
There's a strike against the factory that makes Marshmallow Peeps, Mike and Ike, and Hot Tamales candies. Approximately 400 workers at the Just Born plant in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, walked off the job on Wednesday. They've been working under an expired contract since June and rejected the company's most recent offer. The workers are members of the Bakery, Confectionery, Tobacco Workers, and Grain Millers International Union. The company says it's committed to reaching a contract agreement. Jenny Cosola, Fox News.
The NFL kicks off a new season tonight with a Super Bowl rematch. The Broncos versus the Panthers. Defending champion Denver has a new quarterback, Trevor Siemian.
Excited to get in the flow of the game and the rhythm of the game. And, I got some great teammates to lean on in the huddle. So I think we're looking forward to it.
This has another ex-Bronco quarterback, Tim Tebow, signs a contract with the New York Mets, a minor league deal as Tebow gives baseball a try. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News Radio.
News Radio 1120 KPNW 705. Roads looking good on the way to sunny and 80 degrees with a little breezy, 10 to 20 miles per hour. Currently 51 at KPNW.
Joining us on the Wake Up Call this morning, bright and early, it is Lynn County Board Chair Roger Nyquist, and he joins us again on the Wake Up Call. Commissioner Nyquist, thanks for being with us. We appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me. Good to talk to you, Bill.
Always good to talk to you, too. All right, well, you got a pretty good ruling from a Lynn County judge on Tuesday regarding your suit against the state of Oregon dealing with timber policy. Why don't you kind of fill us in on the reason for the lawsuit initially and then what the judge actually said?
Sure, thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah.
I guess I'll go back to the beginning, which is in the 1930s and 40s. Counties deeded land over to the state. And in exchange for that, the state agreed to manage those lands in a way that produced the greatest permanent value to the counties. And that contract, that agreement went along for a long time, served everyone well. And in the 90s, in the late 90s, the Oregon Department of Forestry adopted, through administrative rule, a definition of greatest permanent value, which in our mind is not consistent with the original deal, nor how they had been applying greatest permanent value to that point. It gave greater deference to environmental issues. And so for the last 15 years, counties have been out the 15 counties and the 150 taxing districts, have been out collectively about $35 million a year. That's what the change in that rule has cost us. So we served notice to the governor last January that we intended to bring litigation, didn't get a response from the governor or the legislature. We filed that suit in March. There were 2 hearings over the summer. The state attempted to get the litigation kicked out of court, and
they failed.
They failed, and the judge saw it our way. And what Judge Murphy and the court's ruling means to us, we think this is boiled down to 3 pretty simple issues. The first is, what was the intent of the parties when they entered into this contract back in the 30s and 40s, in the way of what greatest permanent value meant? Has the state breached that contract? We obviously believe they have. And then what are the damages for doing that? And so it sure looks to me like we're headed to trial. It probably would be, I think they've got it tentatively calendared for a March kind of time frame. And that's where we're going. The judge did rule, the court did rule that affirmatively in one of the state's motions, and that was that the parties are not entitled to prejudgment interest. And so instead of a $1.4 billion suit today, this is a $1.35 billion suit. So, it's the...
Nice win on the part of the state.
Yeah, we got, I think, probably 19 of the 20 issues that were before the court decided in our direction.
All right.
So, go ahead.
I was going to say, explain if you would, because this part of it was kind of hard to wade through. Are you still there?
Yep.
Oh, okay. The issue with class action, because he stopped short of just authorizing a class action lawsuit, although he said that it has all of the benchmarks of a class action lawsuit. Well, explain that, because it is kind of, it's parsing, but it's, it's legal.
We think it's pretty clear. And the state argued you can't do this class action because they don't have anything in common, and furthermore, it would be complicated and cost a lot of money. And so if you're going, the state asked that he delay the certifying of that class. And what he's come back and said is, okay, I'll delay it to hear your summary judgment asking me to rule in your favor, but in the event you're not successful there, I'm certifying the class. So I get, from a technical perspective, the class hasn't been certified yet. We're good with delaying the certification until after any summary judgment motions, and summary judgment is before you get to trial.
Yeah.
You ask the court just to rule in your favor, and look, the state threw everything but the kitchen sink at this thing in the way of arguments already. We don't know what arguments they have left even to make in the way of summary judgment. So we're confident that that we will prevail in that regard in our goal of moving this thing forward to trial.
Is there any precedent that you know of, and I'm not going to assume here that you even looked, but is there precedent in the state of Oregon for this type of lawsuit between the county or a county in the state?
The county forest trust lands on 2 occasions have litigated and gone to court, and have won both times. One was in 1985. The state tried to take one of these parcels of land that was part of the original Dale and make a park out of it. That case went clear to the Supreme Court, and the courts consistently said you can't do that. The counties have a financial interest in these lands producing revenue. And then I think it was 2005, not that long ago, the county forest trust lands took the state to court because the state had raided some of the funds that were required to go to forest management and preparing sales and of trees for harvest. And the counties prevailed there, and the judge, went so far as to clearly state this is a contract, state of Oregon, you can't violate it. And so that's laid the groundwork in part for where we are today.
All right. Well, Commissioner Nyquist, congratulations on the win. We'll definitely keep in touch with you as this, makes its way through the courts and all the rest of the process that goes along with it. Thanks for being a resource.
Thank you, Bill. One more comment can I make?
Yeah.
One more point.
Sure.
Look, all of this conversation, people should understand, we're not proposing to ignore or violate any of the Endangered Species Acts or any of the environmental rules that are in place today. These projections are based on if they properly manage these forests, based on all the rules and laws that are in place today. And we just wish the Oregon Department of Forestry would properly manage our asset.
All right. Well,
thank you, Bill.
Hey, thank you. Commissioner Roger Nyquist from Lynn County is the board chair there, joining us on the Wake Up Call this morning, talking about their favorable ruling that was passed down earlier this week. It is News Radio 1120 KPNW News coming up next at 7:13. True taco facts from Burrito Amigos. Last year, we as Americans chowed down on 4.5 billion tacos. If you laid those tacos end to end, a favorite American pastime, by the way, they'd stretch 490,000 miles, essentially to the moon and back, which is a favorite American measurement of distance. If you took all the tacos folks ate at Burrito Amigos last year, they'd get you round trip from Eugene to Vancouver, unless the traffic was bad and you had to go 205. Then you would only get back to the Brownsville exit. A lot of those tacos were Burrito Amigos Baja fish tacos with real cod, cabbage, cilantro, and Sandy's Secret Baja sauce. A few miles were also Chili Verde soft tacos with pork cooked in spicy green salsa. And you could probably get to Salem with all the yummy tacos Burrito Amigos fans noshed on. Yams, cabbage, beans, pumpkin seeds, and a spicy avocado sauce. They're delicious whether you're a vegetarian or not. Burrito Amigos tacos, they're not just for measuring anymore. Burrito Amigos in Eugene and Springfield. I'm Bill London, and I like my tacos by the yard.
Confessions of a Potentially Perfect Parent, brought to you by AdoptUsKids.org.
I might look like an adult, like a person who could possibly be a parent, but I have no idea how to talk like one. And everyone knows that if you want to be a parent, you have to sound good when you say things like, "Don't make me turn this car around," or "Because I said so," or "Don't make me come back there." I don't even really know what those things mean, but I know that I actually believed my parents when they said them to me. How did they manage to sound so convincing? Here we go. "Don't make me come back there." Ugh, no, that's not tough enough at all. Kids can sense weakness. "Don't make me come back there." Ooh, yeah, that's better. In fact, that kind of sounded like my dad. Weird.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who would love to listen to you practice your dad voice. Call 1-888-200-4005 or visit AdoptUsKids.org for more information. This message brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt Us Kids, and the Ad Council.
Now, this morning's wake-up call with the latest news from the Northwest and your neighborhood. On News Radio 1120, KPNW.
Good morning. This look at the news brought to you by Burrito Amigos, the friendly ones, featuring great breakfast burritos and fresh brewed, locally roasted coffee for a tasty start to your morning. Here's what's going on. Pleasant Hill is in mourning after a high school student, 17-year-old Jordan Jeffs, died in a car crash at the intersection of Parkway and Wheeler Roads. Jeffs was a junior and a football player. A second person was taken to Riverbend Hospital with traumatic injuries. A memorial fund has been set up to aid Jeffs' family at Banner Bank in Pleasant Hill. The fund is under Jordan Jeffs' name. There's also a GoFundMe page set up. The Pleasant Hill High School football team is currently working on plans to honor their teammate. The test results are in for Oregon students, and they're making progress. Brad Ford reports, though, improvement is needed.
Last spring, 290,000 Oregon students took the online test. This is the second year they participated. It judges them on English language arts and math, and they showed growth of up to 3%. But students could be doing better. 55% had a score that's on track to be college and career ready in English. 42% had the same grade for math. The Oregon Department of Education's website has the results by grade, student group, school, and district. Brad Ford, KPNW.
Locally, compared with last year's numbers, the percentage of Bethel and Springfield students who met or exceeded state benchmarks increased in English and language arts, along with math and science. In the Eugene district, the number of students who met or exceeded state benchmarks increased in math and science, but declined in English. It also should be mentioned that the number of students who opted out of the so-called Smarter Balanced Common Core tests increased in all three districts and across the state. Eugene Police Department officers are conducting door-to-door canvasses in the Whitaker neighborhood in hopes of finding videographers or other witnesses who were in the area around the time Anthony Johnson was killed last Thursday. At a press conference, Eugene Police Detective Matt Herbert said one break in the case is giving them hope.
We've released some photographs that you may have seen, and we're expecting and hoping for a large number of calls to come in.
Now, there were a pair of vehicles they believe that were involved, a red pickup truck and a white four-door sedan. The 24-year-old victim was shot and killed around 6:30 p.m. last Thursday on West 4th Avenue near Adams Street. Parts of the McKenzie River Trail, including Blue Pool, are expected to reopen today now that the Blue Top fire is contained. The reopened section includes a 6-mile stretch of the trail between the Trail Bridge compound and the trailhead at Carmen Reservoir. Some fire concerns remain, so some part of the area is still closed to the public. Areas east of Blue Pool, along with Forest Service Roads 740 and 743, are still closed. The state of Oregon is leading the charge to help 512 local students left in a lurch by the sudden closure of ITT Tech. Brad Ford has more.
Oregon's Higher Education Coordination Commission is bird-dogging it to make sure the school turns over the students' academic and financial information.
Transcripts, financial ledgers, etc., so that students can proceed with their next steps.
Director of Private Post-Secondary Education Juan Baez-Aravalo says they're letting students know how to apply for tuition refunds.
We have a surety bond in place that we required out of ITT.
Others with federal student loans may be eligible for a loan discharge. The state is also working with area community colleges on credit transfers.
What we hope to have shortly is what we call transfer fairs.
You'll be able to find out more at oregon.gov/highered. I'm Brad Ford, KPNW.
The Oregon Health Authority is requesting more than a 50% increase in state funding next year as federal funding sources dry up, courtesy of Obamacare. The Health Authority is asking for $3.33 billion in the next biennium, up from 2014, up from 2000, make that $2.14 billion this biennium. The authority administrates most of Oregon's government-funded health programs, including Medicaid, the Oregon State Hospital, psychiatric and drug treatment programs, and public health. The large budget request is meant to cover the costs after two major federal funding sources end next year. A 5-year waiver from the federal government is also expiring next year. The program provided $2 billion to help Oregon support its Medicaid expansion, which is the Oregon Health Plan. Officials have applied for an expansion, but they don't think that they're going to get it. The federal government is also shifting some of the cost of the Affordable Care Act's Medicaid expansion to states in 2017. The government had picked up the entire tab the first 3 years. The policy made more low-income people eligible for government-paid health insurance starting in 2014. So under the shift, Oregon's also going to have to pay an extra 5% of the cost of the expansion in 2017. The state's share is going to increase every year until 2020 when it stops at 10%. The statewide economic indicators have been released, and July saw mixed numbers for the Oregon economy. Tim Dewey of the Oregon Economic Forum gives us his interpretation.
The tenor of the data seems to be generally consistent with what I expect out of a fairly mature expansion.
Although not everything is sunshine and roses.
A couple of places that's showing up in this in softer manufacturing numbers right now. That's certainly been something that has been an issue, not just in Oregon, but nationwide. Result of stronger dollar, the result of softer oil prices.
Weak employment sapped the construction industry, and housing permits were slightly positive as they near their average level. Permits, however, still remain low compared to a typical expansion. The longtime home of Oregon State University's College of Forestry is being demolished to make way for a new classroom and lab. PV Hall is a campus landmark, and some members of the OSU community have questioned the decision to rebuild rather than renovate. An OSU spokesperson says renovation was considered but would have resulted in a less functional building than a new PV hall. At 80,000 square feet, the three-story structure will be slightly smaller than the old building. The demolition work began this summer. Workers have been dismantling it piece by piece rather than just bashing it with a wrecking ball. The college plans to reuse 20% of the material in the new structure and recycle another 65%. And finally, jury selection is underway in the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge takeover. Brad Ford reports one of the lawyers was concerned about the message added security would send to potential jurors.
Security is very tight at the federal courthouse in Portland. Ammon Bundy's lawyer expressed concern to the judge that the heavier than normal security might send a message to jurors. Judge Anna Brown says she has been threatened and she wasn't going to second guess the security measures being taken by the U.S. Marshal Service. Ammon Bundy, his brother Ryan, and 5 others are charged with conspiracy in the takeover of the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge. Jury selection is expected to take the rest of the week. Brad Ford, KPNW.
This look at the news has been brought to you by Burrito Amigos, the friendly ones. You're up to date from KPNW.
Wake Up Call Sports on News Radio 1120 KPNW.
We will get a chance to see what the Eugene Adams team is made up of after posting a 50-plus win regular season. They're now in the playoffs and are in a hole after they lost 4-3 in Hillsborough last night to the Hops. Hops got the win when former Duck Mark Carey Viotis hit a one-out double in the 10th and scored the winning run. M's get their chance tonight to square it up at PK. To the big, Seattle Mariners got a grand slam from Adam Lynn, the 4th of his career in Seattle. Too much for the Rangers, winning 8-3. If you missed it, Tim Tebow has signed with New York, the New York Mets organization, as he will report to their instructional league in Florida, the same state that he won a Heisman and 2 national championships with. Oregon basketball team, the women's team, get their schedule out as they have trips to Clemson and Ole Miss and a doubleheader with the Duck men at the Motor Center. They'll tangle with Michigan State at Matthew Knight on November 22nd. Wake Up Call Sports brought to you by Max Muscle. Where's your finish line? Set a goal, make a plan, get results. Max Muscle in Eugene across Franklin for Market of Choice. News time, 7:24.
KPNW weather brought to you by Ramjack West. Do you have foundation problems? Ramjack can fix that. Get your free quote at ramjackwest.com.
Good morning to you and yours. If you're headed out there in the next few minutes, you're already out and about. We are tracking patchy dense fog off and on. Otherwise, mostly clear skies above the fog banks. Temps right now, pretty mild in the upper 40s to low 50s, and we've got light winds out of the north at 5 to 10. This afternoon, we'll see that fog burn off by about 11 a.m. Then we'll see clear skies. Temps are going to rise in the upper 70s to low 80s thanks to a ridge of high pressure coming up from California. That same ridge will increase the winds. We're looking at a breezy afternoon into the evening with winds out of the north at 15 to 20. If you got us up to 25. Now, this ridge of high pressure actually looks to sit over the area for the next several days, deflecting the cold fronts and storm systems back up into Washington State and Canada, keeping things somewhat warm here, going up a few degrees each day until Saturday. We're back in the mid-80s before another cold front rushes in late Saturday night into your Sunday. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Nation, the NBC 16 Weather Center, hoping you have a great day.
When you need foundation repairs, turn to the foundation experts at Ramjack West. Get your free in-home evaluation at ramjackwest.com. Serving Oregon and Washington. Choose Ramjack. CCB 146906.
Hi, everybody. This is Don Essig with today's Motivational Minute, sponsored by Eugene's #1 electrical contractor, Builders Electric. Business consultant Thomas Watson Jr. once told his clients, solve it quickly, solve it right or wrong. If you solve it wrong, it'll come back and slap you in the face. Then you can solve it right. So if you see a situation that needs solving, don't wait. Do what you think is right. If it doesn't work, that's just an opportunity to solve it again the correct way. But most importantly, eventually it'll get solved and be out of your way. So, do it now. This is Don Essig with today's Motivational Minute. I'll be back tomorrow. Until then, have a positive day.
This Motivational Minute was brought to you by Builders Electric, providing honest, reliable, and positive contracting throughout the Willamette Valley since 1960. That's Builders Electric, CCB number 4296.
The RV Corral has the best selection of #1 selling trailers. Montana, Cougar, Winnebago, Hideout, Fusion, Impact, Shockwave. Your camping fun starts with the RV Corral, 1 mile south of the Beltline on Highway 99.
If you're going to snack, why not snack the healthy way? Max Muscle has a new snack aisle filled with healthy options like protein bars, protein muffins, chips, jerky. We even have protein pancake mix. Stop in and start snacking. Max Muscle, Franklin Boulevard, across from the Market of Choice.
The Eugene Emeralds playoffs start September 8th. Get your Northwest League playoff tickets now and watch your Eugene Ams contend for their first outright championship since 1975. Witness the future stars of the Chicago Cubs. Playoff tickets available at Emeralds box office or online at emeraldsbaseball.com.
Hi, Justin and Ryan here from Springfield Golf Club.
Because of recent improvements, our course is in the best shape it's been for years.
That's right. Our members and guests tell us all the time.
We've had a great summer and want to make sure we end the year strong.
And that's why we're dropping our membership initiation fee from $500 to just $100 now through the end of September.
So if just a $100 initiation sounds good, then come see us.
Justin or Ryan
at Springfield Golf Club.
Your place to play.
Sherman Brothers Trucking is looking for regional flatbed and tanker drivers. Great benefits include medical, dental, vision, 401k, and paid vacation. They're also looking for certified diesel mechanics. Sherman Brothers has been family-owned since 1969 and offers a great work environment. Sherman Brothers prides themselves on the quality of their employees and the service the company provides. Excellent training and quality management will help you reach your goals. Check out ShermanTrucking.com for more details or call 800-457-1459 today.
The Wake Up Call with Holloway and London, 1120 KPNW.
News Radio 1120 KPNW. Thanks for being with us this morning as we roll through a gorgeous start to the day. Beautiful sunrise this morning and more warm weather in the offing, as you heard, as we prepare to hook up with Ken Jenkins. Ken's been on the show before. Ken has done accident scene investigation for the Federal Aviation Commission and the National Transportation Safety Board. He has been doing that for years, and in just a matter of moments, we're having kind of a problem hooking up with him. We're going to talk about a looming pilot shortage that has the FAA considering lowering their flight time requirements. And it's because air travel is up. Now they have this looming pilot shortage, and so the FAA is considering reducing the amount of cockpit experience required for commercial co-pilots, which has a lot of people concerned about aviation safety. To talk about aviation safety is a guy, as we mentioned, who has worked for the FAA. He is somebody that has also worked for the airlines. He's dealt a lot with investigating crash scenes and also dealing as an intermediary between airlines and the families of crash victims. He joins us on the Wake Up Call, Ken Jenkins. Ken, thanks for being with us this morning.
Hey, you're welcome. Thank you for having me here.
Did I get the bio right? We've had
everything except for the FAA. I've not worked for the FAA.
Oh, for some reason I thought, was it the National Transportation Safety Board? We've had you on the show before.
You have. No, I'm a 30-year aviation employee with 3 different airlines that have worked alongside these groups in accident response.
Okay. So at the outset, you know, when you hear that they're lowering the flight time requirements for commercial co-pilots, does that give you a pause for concern?
Well, it does to some extent, but not overall. And the main reason is the FAA is only looking at this for the military pilots. And currently military pilots coming into commercial aviation, the requirement's 750 hours. They're looking at reducing it for the military co-pilots, if you will, to 500. It doesn't reduce any of their exams or competency checks or anything of that nature. So the pilot hours, or for the right seat for any other pilots coming in, remain the same at 1,500 hours. So we're looking at a small subset of pilots that would come in, and basically what the FAA would do is make sure that the equivalent experience matches up so that they are able to pass those exams and whatnot, and the 500 hours would be fine versus 750.
Okay, so when you start talking about 750 hours or 1,500 hours of flight time, we're not talking about, a little two-seater Cessna. I mean, aren't we, are we? 1,500 hours of flight time in what?
Well, it's 1,500 hours of flight time, which it includes, it could come from regional jet experience, and of course their takeoff and landings and military experience. So we're not necessarily looking at private pilot type experience here at this point. Or the equivalent could come from an aviation school or academy. So those types of backgrounds are what we're looking for.
Okay. So it really, I mean, what I'm hearing you say is this is much ado about not a whole lot.
Well, it is, because once of course, my philosophy, and doesn't mean that it's correct, is if you reduce it once, where do you go after that if it doesn't stop the shortage? And so I don't think it's just enough to look at reducing the hours. And at this point, it is only a consideration, and it is not something that has been done. But I think that there are a number of things that need to be done, and whether it is reducing the hours or regional jets doing what they can, because another pipeline, if you will, to commercial aviation is through the regional airlines. And the regional airlines' pay is rather dismal. And you're looking at hundreds of thousands of dollars in some cases to gain the experience, the education, and the hours that you need in order to get your pilot certification. And then you go to work for a small carrier like a regional that may only pay $30,000 to $35,000 a year to start, and yet you have this huge debt. So what you've seen in recent years in other countries is that the state is subsidizing the cost and picking that up for their infrastructure for aviation. And they're starting to educate kids with a passion in aviation as early as junior high and high school to try to groom them into those pilot positions. So where else can we create the incentive for folks to become pilots today?
When you say $30,000 to $35,000 a year, what? I shake my head at that and say, why would anybody want to go through all of the schooling and everything else for a job that, barely is above poverty level?
Well, and certainly one would shake their head, and I do that as well, but I've worked for 3 major carriers in my 30 years, and there is, for lack of concrete evidence, I think what I would say is that there's a passion for aviation, and particularly for those that fly the aircraft. And of course, they want to fly. They also want to fly the larger aircraft. So the larger the aircraft, the higher your pay. The longer your flights, the higher your pay. So there's a lot of competition for those positions in the past. Today, the competition's, while it's still tight to become a captain, we're now starting to see on the supply and demand side that kind of diminished somewhat because we just don't have enough pilots. So many of them do it for the passion of the industry, but a lot of them are leaving it because of the pay. So how do you bridge the gap between the two?
Well, how do you?
Well, and there's the rub. So looking at reducing the hours, which would exponentially reduce the cost to some degree. Do you do state subsidizing of aviation training, and like other countries are starting to do? Can we increase the pay to incentivize folks to go to regional jets to gain their flight time experience, and where they're not going to go bankrupt or be in poverty at such a low rate of pay so that they can move up? So there are a number of things that can be looked at. It's what are you going to do? And I don't think it's just one. I think it's a combination of all of them that might have to be done.
Do things like this, and this will be our final question, do things like this give you pause for concern when you consider all the other things that are going on in the aviation industry here in the United States?
Not so much compared to other things that are going on, simply because the numbers that are being talked about are a small subset here. And while we're talking a reduction in hours, it's of a particular group at the military, and it doesn't take away or diminish from any of the other proficiency checks and examinations they have to follow. So when I look at it that way I'm not as concerned as other things that are going on, such as the over-reliance and the automation, with automation in the cockpit, for example. I think that's very scary. Pilots certainly know how to fly today, but do they know how to fly an aircraft, say, as folks did 30 years ago? There's so much automation in the cockpit today and reliance on the computer that, there's some issues that could be coming from that. And there's many studies about that. Next Gen, which is the system for how do we progress into the future with regards to command and control of the aircraft from air traffic control, and how's that going? So there are some huge things. They're all important, but this one doesn't give me as much pause as some of the others.
All right. Ken, a pleasure having you on the show again. You take care.
All right. Thank you, sir. Bye.
Ken Jenkins, aviation consultant, on the Wake Up Call this morning. It's 737 News Radio, 1120 KPNW.
The Bloomberg Market Report, sponsored by Pacific Continental Bank, serving your business and community in Eugene for over 40 years.
This is a Bloomberg Market Minute. We are seeing stocks fall this Thursday, and we look to Europe for the reason. The head of the European Central Bank, Mario Draghi, this morning is downplaying the need for more monetary stimulus. That's a sign that policymakers don't see immediate danger to the economic recovery in that region. The closure of ITT Tech this week threatens to throw some 29,000 indebted students off their educational tracks and to saddle taxpayers with nearly $500 million in losses. That's because students whose colleges shut down are eligible to have their student loans canceled. When students take that option, the feds record a loss on future loan payments. Don't look for Airbnb to go public anytime soon. A board member says for now the San Francisco-based company is focused on growth and overcoming regulatory challenges. Super Mario is finally coming to the iPhone. Nintendo will start selling the popular video game in Apple's App Store in December. It will be the first time Super Mario has been available on a smartphone. Courtney Donahoe, Bloomberg Radio.
Even with the greatest real estate we've seen in a decade, do you realize that 20% of homes go pending and then fall out, which ends up netting you, the seller, less money? The reason? You hired the wrong real estate agent. If you want a great price and have a great experience, hire Harpole Homes with Keller Williams Realty.
Fact, not all agents are created equal. When you sell your house with Eric and Jeanette's team, you get thousands more dollars in your pocket. With the extra money the Harpoles net you, you can take a vacation, pay off debt, or put more down on your next home.
How do the Harpole Homes do it? Negotiating, marketing, and their exclusive certified pre-owned home program. When you hire Harpole Homes to sell your house, they pay for your home inspection up front to take care of the issues to ensure your home stays sold. It's one of 182 steps they follow to get your house sold for top dollar.
For your free information package or to schedule a free consultation, call them 541-286-3030 or check them out at harpolehomes.com. Sell your house this summer with Harpole Homes with Keller Williams Realty. 541-286-3030.
The following is an incredible, life-changing free offer for anyone with hearing problems who wants to start hearing everything more clearly again. We're now offering free in-home trials of a revolutionary hearing breakthrough called Listen Clear to anyone who calls this special toll-free number now. 1-800-300-5440. Call in the next 10 minutes and you'll also qualify for free shipping and free batteries for life. Listen Clear is precisely designed by top audio engineers. It adjusts to let you find the perfect way to hear everything, wherever you are and whatever you're doing. And Listen Clear is so invisible, people may not even know you're wearing it. And it's so lightweight, you may even forget you're wearing it too. Don't miss this special life-changing opportunity to hear everything more clearly again for free with a 100% free in-home trial, free shipping, and even free batteries for life. For free information, call now. 1-800-300-5440. That's 1-800-300-5440. 1-800-300-5440.
Hiring people is probably the worst part of my job. It's such a hassle, the searching, the sorting through resumes. Most people don't have the right experience.
We started using ZipRecruiter about 3 months ago. Right from the start, you could tell it was going to make hiring a lot easier. One click and my job was posted to 100+ job boards, all the top sites.
All of the candidates came to my dashboard, and it's easy to compare them. Thumbs up if I liked them, thumbs down if I didn't. No emails and attachments, printing up docs, phone calls, none of that.
And I couldn't believe the number of great applicants we got. I had the person we needed within 1 week. I don't know how we hired before ZipRecruiter.
Whether you're looking to fill one position or 20, find the best candidates with ZipRecruiter, where your job is just one click away from 100+ job sites. ZipRecruiter, the fastest way to hire. And right now you can try ZipRecruiter free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/trial. That's ZipRecruiter.com/trial. ZipRecruiter.com/trial.
KPNW weather brought to you by Ramjack West. Do you have foundation problems? Ramjack can fix that. Get your free quote at ramjackwest.com.
Good morning to you and yours. If you're headed out that door in the next few minutes, we are tracking patchy dense fog off and on out there. Otherwise, mostly clear skies above it. Temps right now are in the upper 40s to low 50s with light winds out of the northwest at 5 to 10. Now this afternoon, that fog will burn off by about 11 a.m., leading to clear skies thanks to a pocket of high pressure coming up from California. Now that same pocket of high pressure will take the temps into the upper 70s to low 80s. It'll also pick up the winds out of the north at 15 to 20, gusts up to 25, bringing us a breezy afternoon. Now this pocket of high pressure looks to sit over us for the next several days, bringing the temp up a few degrees each and every day until we're close to the mid-80s on Saturday before the next storm system tries to work its way in Saturday night into Sunday. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Nation in the NBC 16 Weather Center, hoping you have a fantastic day.
So when we say mattress price wars is not going to be going on too much longer, it ends Sunday. We want to get in there. And the great thing about Sleep Train is that their selection, you think, okay, last couple of hours, last couple of days of mattress price wars, they're done, right? They've been weeded through and all the good deals are gone. Not the case. It does end Sunday, but they have a great selection of Tempur-Pedics. In fact, you can save $300 instantly, even on the all-new Tempur-Breeze. Let's get $200 back by mail when you add the Tempur-Pedic movable base to the discussion. Save up to $400 on Beauty Rest and Posturepedic mattress sets, or you want to go this route, 4 years interest-free financing, even on Sleep Train's exclusive new Tempur HD models. You're not going to get those anywhere else. No money down, subject to credit approval. It ends absolutely, positively on Sunday. Mattress price wars, almost done.
Yep, so head on in to Sleep Train. You'll find them in Albany, Corvallis, Eugene, and Springfield. And when you go in, tell them those two guys from the Wake Up call sent you. You don't have to mention us by name. Seriously.
Holloway in London. Your Infomaniacs on News Radio 1120 KPNW.
7:43, Ann Bridgman returning to the airwaves and to the studio. She is the program coordinator of the mentoring program. We got some great kids out there that are in need of some great adults to get out there. Kind of maybe catch us up to date. What's the definition of a mentor in your vocab?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me here today to talk about the Eugene Middle School Lunchtime Mentoring Program. It is a bit of a mouthful, but a mentor in my mind is any caring, responsible individual who will come in every week to our program and meet with a student during lunchtime to talk about what's on their mind. A flexible person who can really meet the needs of a kid where that kid is. And kids come to our program for a variety of reasons. We're in 8 middle schools in the 4J district, and kids might be there because they're in foster care, or perhaps they're homeless, living in a transitional housing environment. Lots of our kids are from homes in poverty. Eugene district has a 45% free and reduced income, free and reduced price lunch rate. So that means those are kids who are living in homes in poverty. Kids might be struggling just because they don't have a lot of friends. They're new to the district, or perhaps they're dealing with having an incarcerated parent. There's a lot of reasons why kids are in our program. They might just be bored with school or feeling that they don't feel engaged with their classes. So a mentor to me is someone who is caring and responsible and who comes in with the idea that they'll meet with this kid for 30 minutes a week and show up every week, because it's really in coming every week and building that trust that relationship can develop.
How does a kid end up in the mentoring program? I mean, is it something that, like, for instance, a teacher or counselor will suggest to the student, maybe you need this, or is it something where the kids know about it and they go to said counselor and go, I want a mentor?
It's a little bit of both. I'd say more often than not, it's the counselor that makes the referral, but a student has to want to be in that program. So it's not a punishment. It's not, you're assigned to this program. If you don't want to be there, too bad. That's not what we're all about. It is a voluntary thing on the part of the student, and the student's parent or guardian also has to sign off on it.
Where does it take place?
It's in the schools. So each of the 8 schools, the middle schools, so these are 6th, 7th, and 8th graders.
I assume not in the cafeteria, though.
Not in the cafeteria, exactly. We do have a designated mentor room so that the mentors and their students can meet one-on-one. We match each mentor with one student for the entire year so that relationship can develop, and they meet in this designated room so that it's a little more private.
What is the hope that the kids are going to get out of this? What is the expectation for the adult in what they're going to be able to provide to this kid?
Right. We have done some evaluations of our program, and what we find is that the kids increase their attendance on mentoring day. I had one mentor say to me that her student said to her, I woke up this morning and I really didn't want to go to school, but then I remembered it was mentoring day, so I came. So hopefully getting kids more engaged in the school. Also, we've seen that behavior problems are reduced among this population. Also, kids are a little bit more engaged. They're setting goals for the future, and in some cases the grades are increasing. Fewer referrals for detention, that kind of thing. What does the mentor get out of it? I think I've been really gratified to see and hear from the mentors, and we had 125 last year, that they get as much, if not more, out of the program as the kids do, because they're seeing that they're making a connection, they're making a difference in a kid's life, and it's really gratifying for them. We have mentors from the community, adults. We have mentors who are like grandparents to the kids. We have younger adults. We have kids from universities who come, and as long as they're 18 or over, they can be part of our program. Some of the mentors at the university level are studying therapy, psychology, those kinds of jobs, so they find out whether this is something they want to pursue, and they say they do.
125 mentors. How many kids? Was it about the same?
We mentored actually 150 kids because some of the mentors had 2 kids, not at the same time, but 2 lunches, so they would stay through both lunches.
So there is a need.
There is a huge need, and even with 150 kids mentored last year, we had kids on waiting lists at almost every school. We especially need, we need both genders of mentors. We need males and females, but we tend to get more females because females are more coming to us from psychology classes at the U of O, which are tend to be more female dominant. But so we need males, we need mentors of color, we need Latino mentors, Latina mentors. We don't always match by race and ethnicity, but sometimes a parent will ask that we do so, and so we'd like to do that if we can. We do match by gender. So if you're a female mentor, you will have a female student.
That you kind of answered a question I was going to ask, and that is, as far as the parents of the kid, do they have to sign off on this as well?
Yes, definitely. Mm-hmm. We want their permission. We want them to know their student is involved with this program. Yes.
Talking about Ann, by the way, Ann Bridgman joining us from the Eugene Middle School Lunchtime Mentor Program. Talk about the preparation. I could see somebody being a little intimidated out there because maybe they have a kid, but their kid is 22 or 25 or been out of the house for a while, and they have kind of like lost the whole idea as being able to relate to a middle school student.
Right. So in terms of mentors, we prepare them in several ways. First of all, they have to pass a criminal background check. That is a requirement of the district. And then we have them fill out questionnaires that tell us a little bit about themselves so that the counselor can use that questionnaire to match them with a student. And included in the questionnaire are questions about their likes and dislikes. Are they an introvert or an extrovert? But we also have a question that says, what did you go through when you were in middle school that might help you connect with a student who might be going through the same thing? And so, for example, we had a mentor come in who had pretty serious ADHD when he was in middle school, and he felt that nobody understood that. The counselor matched him with a kid who was going through the same thing, and the kid said later, after the relationship, after the year was over, went to the counselor and said, I just need you to know that this guy, my mentor, was the first person outside my family who understood when I was going through. So it was a very nice bond that they had. We also train our mentors. We have a training program. Okay. It's brief. It's only about an hour, but we go through a lot of information information. We help them understand what their role is. We help them anticipate any issues that will come up. We give them ideas for icebreakers on how to first meet with their child. For example, we say, instead of sitting face to face with them and making eye contact, which can be a little bit intimidating to some of the kids, sit next to them and focus perhaps on lunch, because they do have lunch together every time they meet, or maybe card game or a board game, that kind of thing. So we do that. And then the final thing is that we provide support to them, the mentors, throughout the school year. There's a mentor coordinator at each school, and he or she is there to answer any questions, to check in regularly, and then I visit the schools as well to check in.
Does this type of mentoring ever transition into kind of a larger mentoring between the mentor and the child? Because there are other mentoring programs around the Lane County area where they take them out to a movie, or they go to a game, or that kind of thing. Does it ever progress from 30 minutes a week to more of a full-fledged mentorship?
It does in some cases. It's not the norm. It really depends on the relationship that's been developed, the bond, and also it depends on the time that the mentor has, obviously, and whether the parent is okay with that. So we do have an out-of-school contact process that if a mentor wants to engage with a student outside of school, they must get renewed permission from the parent. The principal has to sign off, all kinds of things like that. And we do have some mentors that do that. But as I say, it's not the norm. We really do just say 30 minutes a week, and that will make some difference in the life of this child.
So that's the commitment? 30?
That's the commitment. And, people tell me, how can that make a difference? But we find that it really does, that people are coming back with wonderful comments about, this mentor really helped me, or this mentor just listened to me and was there. And again, I can't emphasize enough the commitment to showing up every week, because it doesn't sound like a lot of time, but it is in that time that if you come back and you show up, the trust is developed.
Is it a mentorship that will last, like, for instance, all through middle school?
It can. The best mentorships I've seen are the ones where we get somebody who comes in the child's 6th grade year and stays until the child finishes 8th grade, and that's just a joy to behold, because that's really special.
If somebody knows somebody, or they are that person, what do you do? What's the first step?
To get involved with the program?
Yeah, they want to be a mentor.
We have a website that provides additional information about the program details, as well as the application process, which again is filling out a questionnaire and filling out the background check. And the best way to get there is to go to the 4J website, 4J being the school district in Eugene, and that's at www.4j.lane.edu, and search for mentoring. And once you put mentoring in the search field, you'll come up with a link that will bring you directly to our page.
Question off the email. Mark wants to know about the contact with the family. Does that happen?
Other than the permission, it is rare that a family will have contact, but I have heard of times when a parent will say, I want to meet my child's mentor.
If I was a parent, I could totally see that.
Yeah, of course we will accommodate that. Usually the parent will come in during lunch and we'll have that meeting take place. I've also had parents who have said, I just really want to say thank you because my kid has opened up more, or has done better in school, or has, fill in the blank. So yes, we of course accommodate that.
If you have time constraints and you can't do the lunch hour, middle part of the day, are you pretty much kind of ousted? No chance?
Our program really is a lunchtime program, so I think there are other opportunities for mentoring in other programs that aren't at lunchtime, but yes, ours is pretty much
Hence
at lunchtime.
the name.
Yes.
The Eugene Middle School Lunchtime Mentor Program.
But be aware that some lunchtimes in 4J start at 11, so we go from sort of 11 to 1. In some schools, there are different schedules. Each school has a different schedule, and again, on the website, you can find the schedule for the school that would meet your needs.
And there are some schools that have a 15-minute lunch break. Have you heard about those?
Not here. We're at least 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So fortunately, we have
tough.
that time. That would be very hard. Yeah.
How long have you been doing this?
This is going to be the beginning of my 5th year.
It's got to be a great, you've already talked about, you can tell that you've seen some things that make it worthwhile for you.
It is so gratifying. This job, it's a volunteer job for me. It feeds my soul. It really does. To see the kids have the experiences that they have is very gratifying. If I could just give you another example of what I'm talking about. We had a young girl who was in the mentor program, and she was very shy. She came to school and didn't talk to a lot of adults around her. And again, I want to also highlight the fact that middle school can be a very difficult time for some kids. They're coming from elementary school where they have one teacher for the whole day. They're going to middle school. They've got 6 or 7 teachers. Class sizes are big in 4J, as you all know. It can be difficult. It can be a little intimidating, and this girl was very shy. So she was in a class where she couldn't see the blackboard, or actually it's a whiteboard now, and she wasn't doing very well in that class. She told her mentor after 4 months of contact, it took that much for her to build the trust, for her to feel comfortable saying this, that she couldn't see the board. Her mentor didn't know what resources were available, but talked to the mentor coordinator, and they found out that there was free vision screening at the school. So they did a vision screening on this girl. She had really bad eyesight, and so they got her glasses for free. She went from a D in that class to an A. So that's all it took, but the child was not able to tell her teacher because she was afraid of the consequences, that the teacher would be upset with her. And it was that trust that she built with the mentor that allowed her to do that.
You just need somebody in your corner.
That's exactly right. And that's what these kids need, whether they be kids who are dealing with divorce or kids who are in foster care, kids who are struggling in school. They just need an extra adult to talk to. These are wonderful kids, and they just need an extra adult in their corner.
And with the Eugene Middle School Lunchtime Mentor Program, again, check out the website for just Google, and you'll be able to find it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming in again. Appreciate that. 7:57, hour 3 on the way.
After an accident, you have the right to choose your own auto body repair shop. Todd's Auto Body will guide you through the insurance process and arrange for a car rental, and safety is Todd's top priority. Your car will be repaired beyond industry standards with a lifetime guarantee. Choose ToddsAutoBodyInc.com.
It's Spa-Timber at Three Rivers Casino. And we've got all the hot and bubbly giveaways you are dreaming of. That's right, we are giving away 11 Durasport Cypress Spas valued at $2,249. Earn entry September 1st through the 30th in Florence and Coos Bay. Drawings will be held in Florence September 18th and 25th from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. and September 30th from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Visit threeriverscasino.com for details. Then, attention all music lovers, Ziggy Stardust will be playing his guitar once again at Three Rivers Casino Resort in Florence. That's right, this September 16th and 17th, we will host the phenomenal tribute performance Space Oddity, featuring David Brighton as David Bowie. Tickets start at just $14.99. Reserve your seats now by visiting threeriverscasino.com and experience the genius of David Bowie once again. Relax in luxury and relive the best of Bowie at Three Rivers Casino Resort, because things are luckier here.
The Vietnam Veterans Memorial Moving Wall is coming to Eugene's Skinnerview Park September 29th through October 2nd. This 1/2 size replica will be on display for 4 days only along the Riverwalk. The opening ceremonies begin at 12 noon on Thursday, September 29th, featuring local dignitaries, Color Guard, Honors Team, the Oregon National Guard Marching Band, and a flyover from the Oregon Air National Guard. Come experience the Moving Wall beginning September 29th, presented by the Eugene chapter of the Military Officers Association of America.
When you donate your unwanted used vehicle to St. Vincent de Paul, you're likely to maximize the tax deduction you receive. That's because we sell your vehicle right here on our own car lot. So do something nice for yourself and those who will benefit from your generosity. Donate your used vehicle to St. Vincent de Paul. That way, everyone wins. St. Vincent de Paul. We're in the phone book and online.
This message is sponsored by St. Vincent de Paul in association with Eugene area radio stations. Ears.
Depend on us for breaking news from the local neighborhood to the global one. We are News Radio 1120 KPNW, Eugene, Springfield.
Fox News Radio. I'm Dave Anthony. Hillary Clinton says it was unpatriotic and insulting what Donald Trump said last night.
He trash-talked American generals
and praised Russia's president. So Clinton says that proves again the Republican is unfit for office. If she's elected, Clinton says
we should make it a top priority to hunt down the leader of ISIS.
And the Democrat spoke this morning in front of her plane before flying to North Carolina. Fox's John Decker live in Washington.
In her first full-blown press conference in 278 days, Hillary Clinton, the Democratic presidential nominee, defended her vow made last night in an NBC candidate forum to never put ground troops in Iraq again and to never put ground troops in Syria.
In fact, I think it would fulfill one of their dearest wishes, which is to drag the United States back into a ground war in that region.
Clinton, who called Donald Trump undisciplined, ignored the fact that there are currently close to 4,500 U.S. troops in Iraq and roughly 300 U.S. Special Operations Forces on the ground in Syria. Dave?
John Trump at last night's NBC News Forum said he'd get different advice defeating ISIS.
You know, when she comes in and starts saying, oh, I would have done this, I would have... She's been there for 30 years. I mean, we need change, Matt. We have to have it. And we have to have it fast.
Now, Clinton was not asked by reporters today about her email scandal, which is the subject of another congressional hearing.
Even the State Department themselves didn't have Hillary Clinton's federal records during the 4 years that she served.
Republican Jason Chaffetz heads up a House committee investigating Democrat Elijah Cummings is dismissive.
This is an attack on Hillary Clinton's candidacy for President of the United States of America.
Ford is adding 1.5 million cars, SUVs, and vans to a recall for doors that could pop open while the vehicles are moving. Mazda's recalling 759,000 vehicles because the rear hatches can fall on people and injure them. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
This tip of the week brought to you by Neurospine Institute.
Most of us will experience some form of lower back pain in our lifetime. In fact, outside of the common cold, it's the most prevalent reason for missing work in the United States. Injuries and improper lifting can frequently cause lower back pain. But did you know that illness and infection can also cause moderate to severe discomfort? Many of the conditions can be diagnosed and treated with a visit to an orthopedic physician or pain management specialist. It's important to identify the cause of back pain before effectively treating the problem.
Are you living with chronic pain? The specialists at Neurospine Institute can diagnose the problem and develop a personalized treatment plan to address your symptoms. Their comprehensive services include clinical and surgical procedures, sports medicine, physical therapy, medical imaging, and pain management. Neurospine Institute's medical professionals will work closely with your primary care or referring physician to ensure that you receive the best care and treatment. They serve all of Western Oregon with 2 locations, the main campus in Eugene and their Roseburg clinic. Visit neurospinellc.com today and get your life back.
There's a new plan to restart Middle East peace talks, stalled for years, and it comes from Russia. Fox's Jessica Gallagher is live in Jerusalem.
Dave, the Kremlin says the Palestinians and Israel have agreed to meet. A spokesman from Moscow's foreign ministry says it's unclear when the talks will happen, but timing is very important. Peace talks between the Israelis and Palestinians stalled more than 2 years ago. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas has said he won't meet with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu until Israel stops illegal settlements on occupied land. Meanwhile, it's unclear whether Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov and Secretary of State John Kerry will meet Friday in Geneva as originally planned. The two were to discuss how to resolve the Syrian crisis. Dave.
Jessica Salah Abdeslam for staying silent. The only surviving terror suspect from November's attack in Paris that murdered 130 people refused to speak to a judge in France for the 3rd time. Never forget was a mantra after 9/11, and Sunday marks 15 years since terrorists attacked America, and an iconic flag from Ground Zero seen being raised by firefighters in a photo has returned to New York.
The flag that inspired people worldwide went missing for nearly 15 years. 3 years ago, author Brad Meltzer showed a picture of it on his TV show, Brad Meltzer's Lost History.
I went on the air and said, if anyone knows where this flag is, please tell us where it is. Do the right thing. We'll give you a $10,000 reward.
It took 4 days.
A former Marine walked into a fire station in Washington State in Everett and said, I just want to do the right thing. Here's the 9/11 flag.
After forensic testing, they knew it was the right flag. It now has a new home, the 9/11 Museum in Lower Manhattan.
It belongs right here where it's supposed to be, right where it was taken from the start. And I can only say 2 words to that. Welcome home.
In New York City, Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
On Wall Street, the Dow's down 34 points, the Nasdaq's falling 21. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News Radio.
News Radio 1120 KPNW 805. Welcome in. It is hour number 3 of a Thursday go-around, checking the traffic snafus. We got none, which is a good thing. Clean bill of health. If you see anything that the other 14 should be aware of, let us know. We'll pass it on, see how it works. Much sunshine to converse about. 80 for the temperature high. 10 to 20 miles per hour with 84. The top temp on a Friday, 89 Saturday. I'm going to be hosting a wedding, 89 degrees. Good thing that it's kind of a tropical motif, kind of a tropical themed event. So I guess it'll work. Call it 58 degrees currently at 1120 KPNW. Beautiful start. Did you have any fog coming down?
A little bit. A little bit out on Highway 34. And when I say a little bit, I mean a little bit.
Wispy.
Yeah, that.
Okay.
But once I got out at I-5, I didn't run into anything. So,
okay.
No, nothing that would hamper anybody.
Chris Nation says about 11 o'clock is when everything is going to be burning off. So if you don't have just pure unadulterated sunshine, hang out a couple hours and it shall be. Gary Conley coming up. Also, the crew from the Mackenzie Business Association, the MBA, coming up, and news too.
Yeah, we'll have these stories in just a matter of moments. The test scores are out for Oregon school students. We'll take a look at a statewide and also some of the local numbers there. We have the latest economic indicators for the state of Oregon from Tim Dewey that'll be coming up as well. Also, the Oregon Health Authority says, yeah, the $2.17 billion that we're getting every biennium isn't enough. We need about $1.2 billion more. Those stories and more are coming up, brought to you by Burrito Amigos, the friendly ones here on KPNW.
It's back to school time and morning mayhem at its family finest. Well, stop the insanity and treat yourself and the kids to Burrito Amigos, the friendly ones. Save yourself a little stress and go through the Burrito Amigos drive-thru on West 6th in Eugene or on 42nd Street in Springfield. No fighting over milk, cereal, or the last piece of bacon. Burrito Amigos has great breakfast burritos, like their bacon burritos with 2 types of bacon, or the Menchaca burrito, made with real Angus beef. Of course, if your little one or maybe you likes to spice things up, then maybe a chorizo breakfast burrito will kick it up a notch, to steal a phrase. Burrito Amigos drive-thrus also offer espresso for a meal and a mocha while you motor. For little appetites, there's the junior-sized burritos, and for your burgeoning linemen, get them full-size. The kids will love Burrito Amigos as a breakfast treat, and you'll love Burrito Amigos because you didn't have to make anything. I'm Bill London, and as a parent, I endorse Burrito Amigos as an instrument of morning mental health. Burrito Amigos in Springfield and Eugene.
I'm Jeremy. And I'm Chris with Home Comfort. When we say the one to call, the one means no matter what the problem. From security lighting, generator systems, panel changeouts, service upgrades, with technicians available 24/7. Or HVAC, from routine cleanings to breakdowns. Home Comfort's locally supported by Mitsubishi Electric. So their Mitsubishi Electric factory-trained technicians will ready your house for any season. Make one call to 541-345-2838.
Home Comfort, the one to call. The Wake Up Call is live on air and online from the Widmer Brothers studio Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 9. Click on the Wake Up Call banner on KPNW.com and see and hear up-to-the-minute news as well as interviews and more. The Wake Up Call goes down easy, just like a Widmer ale.
There's a lot of things out there that we don't understand. It doesn't mean that they don't exist. And that's why I just love your program.
Kind of a messy job. Hey, somebody's got to do it, right? I'm George Norrie.
George Norrie on News Radio 1120 KPNW. This is News Radio 1120 KPNW. And we've got the local story in the morning wake-up call.
Good morning. This look at the news brought to you by Burrito Amigos, the friendly ones, featuring great breakfast burritos and fresh brewed, locally roasted coffee for a tasty start to your morning. Here's what's going on. A judge signaled he plans to certify Lynn County's timber lawsuit against the state as a class action, meaning it would include other counties. The county filed the lawsuit earlier this year, asserting insufficient logging had cost it and more than a dozen other timber-rich counties more than $1.4 billion. The complaint says the counties turned over ownership of the forest lands to the state in the 30s with the expectation that timber revenues would be maximized. But a forest management plan adopted more than a decade ago emphasized improvements to fish and wildlife habitat and environmental issues. Lynn County Judge Daniel Murphy said in an opinion without reciting the in detail the court's reasoning that he believes the lawsuit does meet the requirements for a class action. He added that he won't formally decide the issue until the lawsuit survives further motions to dismiss. Now, Murphy said in his ruling, though, that it may be too early to certify the class because the expenses, and I'm quoting here, especially for discovery arising as a result of the class certification, would be substantial and would all prove meaningless if the court certified the class before motions to dispose the case are resolved. Scott Kaplan, an attorney for the state, said during oral arguments last month that managing the case as a class action would be impractical. He also argued there's a lack of commonality among the counties which donated their land to Oregon during different times under specific conditions. Well, Chris McCracken, an attorney representing Lynn County, rejected the argument, saying the counties all face the same issue. Frankly, that the state violated its contract to maximize timber revenue. The judge agreed. If class action status is eventually granted, the other timber counties, among others, would include Benton, Lane, Lincoln, Polk, Tillamook, Douglas, and Coos counties. Pleasant Hill is in mourning after a high school student, 17-year-old Jordan Jeffs, was killed in a car crash Tuesday night at the intersection of Parkway and Wheeler Roads. Jeffs was a junior and a football player. A second person was taken to Riverbend Hospital with traumatic injuries. A memorial fund has been set up to aid Jeff's family at Banner Bank in Pleasant Hill. The fund is under Jeff Jordan's name. There's also a GoFundMe page that's set up. The Pleasant Hill High School football team is currently working on plans to honor their teammate. The test results are in for Oregon students, and while they're making progress, Brad Ford reports they still need quite a bit of an improvement.
Last spring, 290,000 Oregon students took the online test. This is the second year they participated. It judges them on English language arts and math, and they showed growth of up to 3%. But students could be doing better. 55% had a score that's on track to be college and career ready in English. 42% had the same grade for math. The Oregon Department of Education's website has the results by grade, student group, school, and district. Brad Ford, KPNW.
Compared with last year's numbers, the percentage of Bethel and Springfield students who met or exceeded state benchmarks increased in English and language arts, math, and science. In the Eugene district, the number of students who met or exceeded state benchmarks increased in the math and science categories, but declined in English. And by the way, it should be mentioned that the number of students who opted out of the so-called smarter balanced Common Core tests increased in all three districts and all across the state. The Eugene Police Department is conducting door-to-door canvassing in the Whitaker neighborhood. They want to find videographers or other witnesses who may have been in the area around the time that Anthony Johnson was shot in the head and killed last Thursday. At a press conference, Eugene Police Detective Matt Herbert said one break in the case is giving them hope.
We've released some photographs that you may have seen, and we're expecting and hoping for a large number of calls to come in.
Vehicles were involved, police believe, in that particular case, and they include a red pickup truck and a white four-door sedan. The 24-year-old was shot and killed around 6:30 p.m. last Thursday on West 4th Avenue near Adams Street. Parts of the McKenzie River Trail, including Blue Pool, are expected to reopen to the public today, now that the Blue Top fire is contained. The reopened section includes the 6 miles of trail between the Trail Bridge campground and the trailhead at Carmen Reservoir. Some fire concerns do remain, so part of the area is still closed. Areas east of Blue Pool, as well as Forest Service Road 740 and 743, are still closed. The state of Oregon is leading the charge to help 512 local students left in a lurch by the Fed's sudden closure of ITT Tech. Brad Ford has more.
Oregon's Higher Education Coordination Commission is bird-dogging it to make sure the school turns over the students' academic and financial information.
Transcripts, financial ledgers, etc., so that students can proceed with their next steps.
Director of Private Post-Secondary Education Juan Baez-Aravalo says they're letting students know how to apply for tuition refunds.
We have a surety bond in place that we required out of ITT.
Others with federal student loans may be eligible for a loan discharge. The state is also working with area community colleges on credit transfers.
What we hope to have shortly is what we call transfer fairs.
You'll be able to find out more at oregon.gov/highered. I'm Brad Ford, KPNW.
I'll sing for the place
The Oregon
that my
Health
heart...
Authority is requesting more than a 50% increase in state funding next year as federal funding sources are drying up, courtesy of Obamacare. The health authority is asking for $3.33 billion from the next biennium, up from $2.14 billion this biennium. The authority administers most of Oregon's government-funded health programs, including Medicaid, the Oregon State Hospital, psychiatric and drug treatment, and the Public Health Division. That big, make it huge budget request is meant to cover costs after two major federal funding sources are ending. A 5-year waiver from the feds is also expiring next year. The program provided $2 billion to help Oregon support its Medicaid expansion, which is the Oregon Health Plan. Officials have applied for an extension, but they're saying they don't think it's going to come through. The federal government is also shifting some of the cost of the Affordable Care Act's Medicaid expansion to the states in 2017, where the government picked up the entire tab in the first 3 years. The policy made more low-income people eligible for the Oregon Health Plan. Under the funding shift, Oregon is going to have to pay 5% of the cost of expansion in 2017. Then the state's share will increase every year until 2020, when it tops out at 10%. The statewide economic indicators have been released for July and saw some mixed numbers for the Oregon economy. Tim Dewey of the Oregon Economic Forum gives us his interpretation.
The tenor of the data seems to be generally consistent with what I expect out of a fairly mature expansion.
Not all things, he says, are coming up roses.
A couple of places that's showing up in this in softer manufacturing numbers right now. That's certainly been something that has been an issue, not just in Oregon, but nationwide, result of stronger dollar, the result of softer oil prices.
Weak employment sapped the construction industry, even though housing permits were slightly positive as they near their average level. Permits, though, remain low compared to a typical expansion. The indicators suggest that ongoing growth, though, will continue here in Oregon. The longtime home of Oregon State University's College of Forestry is being demolished, making way for a new classroom and laboratory building. PV Hall was a campus landmark, and a number of members of the OSU community questioned the decision to rebuild rather than renovate. An OSU spokesperson says renovation was considered, but it would have resulted in a less functional building than a new PV Hall. At 80,000 square feet, the three-story structure will be slightly smaller than the old building. The demolition work started this summer. Well, it was a big day for South Albany High School students. They got to see their brand new commons where the old cafeteria once stood. An arsonist destroyed the building back in April of 2015, destroying the music area and other classrooms and storage facilities. The new building's not only a replacement for what was lost, but quite a bit more. There's a refrigerated room 7 times the size of the previous one in the old cafeteria. There's more cabinets for storage, a larger choir room, and an additional 11,000 square feet of space. South Albany is once again now the central supply source for meals at area grade schools and the local Boys and Girls Club. Jury selection is underway in the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge takeover. Brad Ford reports one of the lawyers is concerned about the message that added security is sending to potential jurors.
Security is very tight at the federal courthouse in Portland. Ammon Bundy's lawyer expressed concern to the judge that the heavier than normal security might send a message to jurors. Judge Anna Brown says she has been threatened and she wasn't going to second guess the security measures being taken by the U.S. Marshal Service. Ammon Bundy, his brother Ryan, and 5 others are charged with conspiracy in the takeover of the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge. Jury selection is expected to take the rest of the week. Brad Ford, KPNW.
From the Department of What is This Guy's Problem? Marion County Sheriff's deputies responded to a Salem residence after a resident reported that a man entered his home and attacked him. Now, according to the sheriff's office, the call came in around 6 p.m. last night, and the resident said he was fighting the intruder, trying to get him out of the house. When the first deputy arrived at the home on State Street, the deputy found the owner of his home and his teenage son holding down 25-year-old Mario Vega Navarro. Vega Navarro resisted when the deputy tried to detain him. Then 2 additional deputies arrived to assist. Officers say that even with 3 deputies trying to hold him down, Vega Navarro continued to thrash around and tried biting deputies. Finally, after a lengthy scuffle, police were able to put the suspect into handcuffs, and paramedics were called to the scene because of Vega Navarro's erratic behavior. Deputies also found that both victims had been bitten multiple times and were bruised from Vega Navarro's attack. When Vega Navarro was released from the hospital, He'll then get free lodging at the Marion County Jail. Charges of burglary 1, assault 4, and resisting arrest. It's 8:21. This look at the news brought to you by Burrito Amigos, the friendly ones. You're up to date from KPNW.
Wake Up Call Sports on News Radio 1120 KPNW.
Well, we'll get to see what this Eugene M's team is all made up of after posting a 50-plus win regular season there in the playoffs and are now in a hole after they lost 4-3 in Hillsboro last night, Game 1. The Hops got a win when former Duck Mark Karaviotis hit a one-out double in the 10th and scored the winning run. The M's get their chance to square things up Game 2 tonight at PK. To the Bigs, San Francisco Giants haven't quite hit their stride after the All-Star game. They're 17-32 since the break. Last 32 came last night, 6-5 at the hands of the Colorado Rockies. Dodgers punked the Diamondbacks. Yasiel Puig homered and drove in another run for L.A. NFL officially starts tonight with a matchup of Super Bowl 50. Carolina travels to Denver. Some other news nuggets. The Saints and Breeze, as in Drew Brees, come to an extension agreement, paying him $44 million over 2 years. Emmanuel Sanders, wide receiver with the Broncos, gets ink on an additional 3 years worth $33 million. Tim Tebow has signed with New York, the New York Mets organization, as he'll report to their instructional league in Florida, the same state that he won a Heisman and 2 national championships in at the University of Florida. Oregon women's basketball team gets a schedule and has got trips to Clemson and Ole Miss in a doubleheader with the Duck men at the Moda. They'll tangle with Michigan State at Matthew Knight on November 22nd and play Crosstown Northwest Christian October 29th. The Oregon football team gearing up for the second game of the season. They're playing Virginia, and offensive coordinator Matt Lubick puts the game prep in perspective.
That's a big part of the game plan process is what do we do well, and what do we think because of how they play that we can do a little bit better, whether it's protections or run game. But to be honest, I don't know what they're going to do.
Wake Up Call Sports brought to you by Max Muscle. Where's your finish line? Set a goal, make a plan, get results. Max Muscle in Eugene, across Franklin from Market of Choice. News time, 8:22.
KPNW weather brought to you by Ramjack West. Do you have foundation problems? Ramjack can fix that. Get your free quote at ramjackwest.com.
Good morning to you and yours. If you're headed out that door in the next few minutes, we are tracking patchy dense fog off and on out there. Otherwise, mostly clear skies above it. Temps right now are in the upper 40s to low 50s with light winds out of the northwest at 5 to 10. Now this afternoon, that fog will burn off by about 11 a.m., leading to clear skies thanks to a pocket of high pressure coming up from California. Now that same pocket of high pressure will take the temps into the upper 70s to low 80s. It'll also pick up the winds out of the north at 15 to 20, gusts up to 25, bringing us a breezy afternoon. Now this pocket of high pressure looks to sit over us for the next several days, bringing the temp up a few degrees each and every day until we're close to the mid-80s on Saturday before the next storm system tries to work its way in Saturday night into Sunday. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Nation in NBC 16 Weather Center, hoping you have a fantastic day.
Does your home or business have foundation problems? Ramjack can fix that. Discover why Ramjack is the only foundation company you'll ever need. Get your free in-home evaluation at ramjackwest.com. Choose Ramjack. CCV 146906.
If you're going to snack, why not snack the healthy way? Max Muscle has a new snack aisle filled with healthy options like protein bars, protein muffins, chips, jerky. We even have protein pancake mix. Stop in and start snacking. Max Muscle, Franklin Boulevard, across from the Market of Choice.
Every election year, you hear lots of promises and few guarantees. Lars Larson here to tell you about one guarantee you have right here in Eugene and Lane County. Jeremy Parmenter will sell your home. That's right. Jeremy guarantees to sell your home at a price and a deadline you agree to, or he'll buy it, and Jeremy will sell your home fast. Darbin and Ruby wanted to sell their home and move out of the country. They didn't need the extra stress that comes with selling their home, so they called Jeremy Parmenter. He sold their home in less than 30 days, right on schedule, and got them $10,000 more than any house in that neighborhood. Why would you think of working with any other agent in Eugene or Lane County? And there's no risk. If you want out of the contract, you're out. Call the only agent I recommend in Eugene. Call Jeremy Parmenter at 541-255-5685. That's 541-255-5685. Online, OregonRealEstateAdvisors.com. That's OregonRealEstateAdvisors.com.
Sun Automotive is proud to sponsor the Northwest edition of Lars Larson. Sun Automotive, with locations in Eugene and Springfield, reminds you, Stay safe on the road. Keep your car well maintained, and don't text and drive. Sun Automotive.
Anything but typical. Anything but cliche. Anything but routine. The Wake Up Call on News Radio 1120. KPNW.
$8:25, Thursday, and time for another visit from Gary Conley, the president of Conley Capital. Welcome back.
Thank you.
As always. Let's start with the definition of the vocab word. And this seems like one that would be fairly intuitive, but as things generally go, not necessarily.
Right.
Our vocabulary word for today is bank.
As bank, as in financial institution, not as in the side of a river.
Okay.
Okay. So people think of a bank as an institution that makes loans, basically. But they're also a borrower because the money has to come from somewhere. So they borrow from depositors and bondholders and sometimes from the Fed. And at this point, the bank has got, or banks, especially the big ones, have about three basic ways that they make money. When they take in deposits or they borrow money, they lend it out at a spread, the higher interest rate. They also make a lot of money by processing transactions. They charge a little bit on, somebody charges a little bit on your Visa bill, or each Visa transaction, each transaction that you'd use on your debit card, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
And then the other thing they do, which is not so benign, is they trade for, the big ones trade for their own accounts. They're not supposed to anymore, but they do it in a different kind of way. And we've talked before about the derivatives.
Yeah.
So what a bank is basically is an intermediary. In other words, it takes money from people who need to lend it out and lends it out to people who need it.
Okay. So that kind of leads us to today's discussion, and that was the Colorado meeting of the Fed. And as usual, they bring, or is it Wyoming? Wyoming.
Yeah,
Wyoming.
Jackson Hole.
Jackson Hole. And they bring a lot of big heads in, and they discuss a variety of issues of the day. And generally, I think it's a 3-day, isn't it? Is it a 3-day confab that they have?
Oh, I don't know, 2 or 3.
Yeah, and they generally will talk about 2, 3, 4 main topics that they will discuss. And a lot of times you can get an idea of where the Fed is going with things and what they're thinking about based on some of those topics that are discussed. And that's kind of where our starting point is today. One of the main topics of conversation had to do with below zero interest rates.
Yeah, negative interest rates, and whether they might actually do that. And the answer is that if you read between the lines, they are considering doing that because they have to do, well, they don't have to, but they're trying to figure out what they're going to do in the next recession.
And we're overdue for one.
Yes, yeah. And plus the growth is very, very slow. I mean, this is a very anemic recovery spread out over basically 8 years, 7 or 8 years. And it's probably happened in spite of government and Fed policy, not because of it.
Explain briefly, when we talk about negative interest rates, what exactly does that mean?
Well, what it means is if you put your money in the bank, you're going to get less back than you put in it. It's essentially a charge or a tax, if you will, on holding your funds.
Okay. What does it mean for somebody that's going to, say, borrow money?
Well, if the banks are paying negative interest rates, they're still going to lend money out at a positive interest rate. It just means the spread moves down. It means that somebody's going to borrow money should be able to get it cheaper than they would if interest rates were higher. The spreads, of course, between what the banks pay for money or what the capital markets pay for money and what they lend it out at change. And following the changes in those spreads sometimes will give you some indication of what's going on, particularly in the bond market. But All it means is that the whole structure is moved lower. The problem basically is that the Fed is made up of bankers, and so they think like a banker. And if you think about our definition of bank, the cost of money is absolutely critical. So the lower the interest rates are, the lower the cost of money is. That's all interest rates are, is basically what it costs to rent money. So for a bank, lower interest rates are absolutely critical. But if you move away from the banks and you look at, let's say, consumers or private non-bank businesses, the cost of money or the interest rate is a factor in making decisions, but it's not necessarily the main driver or the most important factor. I'll give you two examples. Okay, if you're a business and you're going to open, let's say, a new store location, or you're going to expand your factory, the cost of capital to do that is one of the factors, but the main driver really is whether you think customers are going to buy whatever it is you're going to produce. Okay, and if you don't, you're not going to open that location. Now, there's some other complications that have to do with taxes and trying to predict what those costs are going to be, and rules and regulations and permits and a lot of other things that go in there. But if you're not a bank, the main driver is not the cost of the capital or the cost of the money. It might be something that would cause you not to do something, but a lower cost is not going to cause you to implement a plan. Now let's swap to consumer, which is 70% of the economy, and borrowed up to the hilt, as we've talked about over the years. So, if you're a consumer, okay, and you're worried about whether you might be able to make your car payment, make the rent, make your mortgage payment, and you're also worried about whether you might lose your job, whether that's a reasonable worry or not, it's still going to be something that's going to be a driver, and you don't have any savings, I don't care what the cost of money is. It's not going to induce you to go out and borrow more money and spend, take a vacation, etc. So if you add those two things together, the main consumers of the loans, other than the money that the government borrows, which is kind of funny money, it's no wonder that lower interest rates don't work, because that's not the main driver in the decision to borrow money for people in the economy. And that's how come lower interest rates haven't stimulated the economy, and they're not going to. But the Fed's absolutely clueless about that, I think, because, as I said, they think like bankers, because that's what the Fed's populated with, is bankers.
We have at least historical data that we can look at, even though it's not like long-term history, but some historical data that can be looked at dealing with zero interest rates or sub-interest rates. What, for instance, is it Switzerland, I believe? Is it Switzerland that currently has zero or below zero negative interest rates?
Several places in Europe. The German 10-year bond is trading at a negative interest rate. But the Swiss national, the banks in Switzerland are charging you to hold their money.
And so what effect has that had on their economy?
Well, the Swiss because their currency is, at least partially backed by gold, have had an appreciating currency, and so they're doing everything that they can to hold down the value of the Swiss franc. Zero interest rates, buying stocks because they can't get enough bonds. I mean, they're the eighth largest. The Swiss National Bank is now the eighth largest holder of publicly traded shares of Facebook, for example. And so, there's a bizarre outcome. And the reason that they want to hold the price of the currency down is because it makes you more competitive in terms of exports and tourism and, whatever
we
else.
Talked about that in the Chinese.
Yeah, well, the Chinese, and really that's the driver for everyone. So it's kind of a race to the bottom in what are called currency wars. So that's that's one of the impact of negative interest rates. But the other impact of low interest rates, let alone negative interest rates, that you can see in this country, is it's just absolutely decimated the middle-class savers, and it's caused people who are savers, who by definition don't want to take any risk,
Money,
it has forced them to become investors who do take risk.
Have they seen people just deciding, well, screw this, I'm just going to put it in the backyard in a jar? I mean, have they noticed people just going, I'm not putting my money in the bank?
Well, I think any place where there are negative interest rates, that makes sense, because the money in the negative interest rate becomes a tax if you're going to get back less than you put in. So you actually are ahead if you just take a zero interest rate and stick the cash in the backyard.
Yeah, you'd be ahead just getting a safety deposit box and just putting your money in that as opposed to actually depositing it.
Yeah, and there's a run on those also. So
really,
yeah, I mean, there's a high demand for those in places where there are negative interest rates, because that's a very logical thing. Would be a very logical thing to do.
Which would sound to me like then that wouldn't be a terribly advantageous thing to your typical bank.
No, because they don't have, if people aren't borrowing money and they don't have deposits, I mean, they can't borrow money, so how can they lend it out at a spread?
What do you think the chances are that if, for instance, this economy slides into a recession again, that the Fed's going to pull that out of the bag?
Oh, I think there's a pretty good chance that they will pull it out of the bag, because I don't think there's much else that they can do. And like I said, I think they're very arrogant and rather clueless in terms of how these policies affect, like I said, the middle-class savers. If you take, let's say that over a period of a lifetime you saved $500,000 and you got maybe $1,500 a month in Social Security. If you can make 6% on $500,000, that's another $2,500 a month, and now you're, at about you at least could live with some dignity if you paid off your house. But if you get 0.5%, which is a stretch now on $500,000, now you're talking about $200 a month. And, instead of having $4,000 a month, now you've got, with your $1,500 of Social Security, you got less than $2,000. And bingo, you're poor. So I don't think that at the Fed level they understand that at all. Because they have no way really to identify. They talk among themselves like a Jackson Hole, and they have no idea, no way to really identify with the middle-class saver other than just an abstraction.
How come this is not a political issue? I mean, if I was a presidential candidate, and we are in the middle of a presidential campaign, just in case you didn't notice, I mean, I'd be beating the war drums over this.
Yeah, except
I'd be calling for Yellen's head.
But think of both of the presidential candidates and their history too. I mean, they're more part of this, what you could call power elite, and they don't have any more connection with the middle class really, other than it as an abstraction, than do the people at the Fed. It's sort of like this. Okay, so yesterday or the day before there was a cloud burst. We had a little bit of rain. Mm-hmm. Okay, so if I'm looking out the window at a cloud burst, I see the rain, okay, and if I see a homeless guy with his total net worth in a shopping cart walking down the bike path, he sees the rain too. But to me, his situation is somewhat of an abstraction. I understand it, but I don't know.
You don't know it.
Yeah, I don't know it. I haven't lived it, so I don't feel it. So the rain is great for my plants, okay? Maybe not so much for his sleeping bag.
Okay. What is the nugget we can take away from all of this, other than we're doomed?
Well, I don't know that, I mean, there's going to be some bad outcome of this somewhere down the road. But the nugget is, I think, that even if you want to be a saver, you're going to be forced to be an investor and take risks that you don't necessarily want to take. And that's particularly true if you're going to try to earn some money on your money in order to retire, or in order to not have to work before, or not have to work, as hard or at all anymore. And so it's worth recognizing always reality, the situation that you're in, and then trying to figure out what to do about that.
All right. Gary Conley, conleycapital.com is where you can go to find out more about what this gentleman does. Always a pleasure, Gary. See you next Thursday.
That your show.
It is 840 News Radio 1120 KPNW.
The Bloomberg Market Report, sponsored by Pacific Continental Bank, serving your business and community in Eugene for over 40 years.
This is a Bloomberg Market Minute. Investors were looking for the European Central Bank to pump more stimulus money into the economy. However, President Mario Draghi did not discuss an extension to that program, and that's putting pressure on stocks in the U.S. There is a report that regulators will crack down on Wells Fargo over the cross-selling of products and sales tactics. According to the Wall Street Journal, they've been investigating whether Wells Fargo pushed employees too hard to meet sales goals and didn't prevent questionable behavior. A deal in the sports industry we're following. Formula One racing was sold to Liberty Media. The price tag, $4.4 billion in cash. Broadcasters and advertisers like sports events such as Formula One because they draw big audiences and have a growing global following. Sony is out with 2 new versions of its PlayStation 4. The PS4 Pro is designed to run virtual reality games and display high-quality video, and a slimmer, more efficient PS4. The PS4 Pro will go on sale November 10th for $400. Courtney Donahoe, Bloomberg Radio.
Shift into savings at your local Kubota dealer. Right now, you can get the Subcompact BX and the Compact B or L Series or the bigger MX Special Utility Tractor with a low down payment, 0% APR for 84 months, and a full 6-year limited powertrain warranty. See your participating Kubota dealer by December 31st. Now through December 31st, 2016. Call toll-free 1-800-794-4992 for details about costs and terms. See Mid-Valley Tractor, locally owned for 30 years, just a mile and a half past the Beltline on Highway 99.
Rodent droppings, insects, dirt, lost jewelry, and toys. What is in your heating and cooling ductwork? Contact Pacific Air Comfort, your local Carrier factory authorized dealer to inspect your home's heating and cooling systems ductwork for free. Turn to the experts for your home, and their professional staff will inspect your heating and cooling system and ducts, offering solutions that address your needs. Clean air ducts or new Carrier equipment, they will make you Pacific Air comfortable. Pacific Air Comfort, quality system design, quality Carrier equipment, quality installation, and outstanding 24/7 service and repairs. Visit PacificAirComfort.com. That's PacificAirComfort.com. Or call 541-342-5300. That's 541-342-5300 to receive Pacific Air Comfort's award-winning service today.
Hi, this is Brian Sutherland, owner of Amco Transmissions in Springfield. For years, Amco in Springfield has been repairing your cars and trucks' most complicated system, the transmission. So it's no wonder people come to us with all sorts of problems. Don't take any chances. Bring your car to Amco in Springfield. We'll diagnose it right, repair it for a fair price, and back it with a nationwide warranty. Whether it's your car, truck, or motorhome, call Amco Springfield, 541-726-6824, or find us on Facebook. That's AAMCO.
I can solve difficult problems for a Fortune 500 company.
I can run a successful business.
I can manage your home improvements.
I can publicize your message.
I can motivate your audience.
I can put my military experience to work for your company.
I can teach your children.
I can boost your bottom line.
I can add value to your workplace.
I could be a loyal and productive employee.
But I can't put my skills to work for your organization
if I'm not given the opportunity.
If you don't recognize my talents and ability.
If you don't hire me. If you don't have an open mind and a workplace that's open to everyone.
If you don't realize that America works best when everybody works.
What can you do? What can you do?
What can you do?
You can remember that it worked.
It's what people can do.
It's what people can do that matters.
Nearly 50 million Americans have disabilities. Capitalize on their talents with employment practices that benefit everyone. Learn more at whatcanyoudocampaign.org.
KPNW weather brought to you by Ramjack West. Do you have foundation problems? Ramjack can fix that. Get your free quote at ramjackwest.com.
Good morning to you and yours. If you're headed out there in the next few minutes, you're already out and about. We are tracking patchy dense fog off and on, otherwise mostly clear skies above the fog banks. Temps right now pretty mild in the upper 40s to low 50s, and we've got light winds out of the north at 5 to 10. This afternoon, we'll see that fog burn off by about 11 a.m., then we'll see clear skies. Temps are going to rise in the upper 70s to low 80s thanks to a ridge of high pressure coming up from California. That same ridge will increase the winds. We're looking at a breezy afternoon into the evening with winds out of the north at 15 to 20. A few gusts up to 25. Now, this ridge of high pressure actually looks to sit over the area for the next several days, deflecting the cold fronts and storm systems back up into Washington state and Canada, keeping things somewhat warm here, going up a few degrees each day until Saturday. We're back in the mid-80s before another cold front rushes in late Saturday night into your Sunday. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Nation, the NBC 16 Weather Center, hoping you have a great day.
You need to head on down to Sleep Train because mattress price wars are going to end. There you go. Is there a problem, Rob?
I thought you were talking to me.
Oh.
I was giving you something to play off of.
Oh, okay. Rob was just like, what? Huh? What? I was like, what's going on over here? I'm picking up on visual cues and they're just not connecting. Anyway, if you haven't gone down to Sleep Train yet to take advantage of mattress price wars, and you need a mattress, and you know you need a mattress, at least go down and take what we like to refer to as the free test lay. That's where you kind of do, you know, the meet and greet to the potential mattress in your future. They want you to come on down and lay on a mattress, not for just a couple of minutes, but for 15, 20 minutes. Make sure that it's completely comfortable for you. Because the object is that you're going to be spending 7 to 8 hours a day on the thing, and it ought to be comfortable, and you ought to get a good night's sleep. They've got a variety of models to choose from, and when you're looking at them, my suggestion, check out the adjustable base. It's great if you've got, you know, back, neck problems where occasionally, you know, you need to raise the head just a little bit under the knees to find that soft spot that almost makes you feel like you're in zero gravity. And it's fun for other things, too. I'll just leave it at that. So head on in to Sleep Train. They're guaranteed they're going to beat anybody's price by 5% up to 100 days after you purchase your mattress.
I give it 4 days, and you'll consider it one of your prized possessions. The brand new mattress there. From Sleep Train with the mattress price wars ending this Sunday in Eugene, Springfield, Corvallis, and Salem. And tell them you're like this with the Wake Up Call.
Holloway in London and the Wake Up Call. News Radio 1120 KPNW.
He's Rob and Bill.
Rob and Bill.
Yeah, we're just introducing each other on the air because, frankly, we've never met before. Yeah, you were on. Oh, man. Don't you just love it when you know, even before it happens, the way that it's going to go, Rob?
Derailed before we even get into
we haven't. It hasn't even left the station yet. It's like the train was sitting on the tracks and just tipped over.
You're Morgan?
Yes. I'm good to be here.
Yeah, it's good to have you in here too. Anyway, Morgan is from Prize Design Group. Morgan, what is Prize Design Group?
Well, we are a web development company.
All right. Well, good deal. Do you mostly are you mostly doing stuff for, say, institutions, nonprofits? Are you more commercially based, like for, you know, brick and mortars, things like that? I mean, when you say you design websites, can be a little more specific or vague, if you will.
Well, it is a little bit more vague, I guess, because we help anyone and everyone who wants to market their business online. So there are some out there that focus on particular industries, such as dentistry or travel, or just particular industries where they tailor their entire approach towards that.
So if I came to you and I said, okay, Morgan, I want to start a business where I'm selling widgets out of my garage online. And so I'm going to need, you know, some sort of shopping portal where people can look at the stuff and order it online. If I came to you, is that something you would be able to design for me?
Definitely. Yep.
So is that something, I take it that's something that you folks there do on a semi-regular basis?
All the time.
Yeah?
Yep.
Okay.
More than 8 hours a day.
More than 8 hours a day. Okay, you're a typical small business guy.
Yeah.
I totally get it.
How long have you guys been in business around here?
Yeah.
Since 1998.
Okay. And you're with the McKinsey Business Association.
Yeah.
You're one
MBA.
of many people that are a part of it. Talk a little. I mean, what made you decide that MBA is something I want to get involved in, other than just so I could meet other businesses? I mean, there's a couple of reasons why people do something like that.
Well, primarily it's to promote your business.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the secondary reasons for me are to get to know people. I like having a feeling like I know what's going on in the community.
The invaluable relationships is what you're saying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then also getting to know the people behind the services that you might use.
Okay, explain that just a little bit.
Well, as they are getting to know me and I'm getting to market my business to them, I'm getting to know all the people behind the businesses that I might use. So, for example, Dr. B, Sean Bretschneider with Q3 Animal Hospital.
Mm-hmm.
I get to know him on a weekly basis and get to be that much more comfortable with him and his business and taking pets there, recommending taking pets there, recommending friends and family take their pets there. So
basically what you're getting out of this is, besides, potentially getting business out of the folks that are a member of the MBA, you're also getting referrals from them. People will say, "Oh, yeah, you got to see Morgan because you're putting together your website. You need to talk to Morgan. I know this guy. I've worked with him. Good Joe. You need to talk to him." So you're also not only just drumming up business just by the direct, but also indirectly through referrals.
Exactly. Yeah.
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 And has that been? I mean, have you gotten some significant business in just that way, just through the MBA?
Yeah. I have a number of people that are a part of the group that I work with, and then also people that they know that they have referred to me over the years. So
talk about the different categories that. You mentioned Dr. B, who's a veterinarian, but talk about because it's pretty much a pretty diverse range. Would you say?
Yeah, there's everything from large businesses to sole proprietors. There's
in what fields?
Everything from embroidery to banking to construction, heating and air conditioning, restaurants. Let's see.
How do you, if you are interested, how do you sit there and go, okay, I do, baseball memorabilia. Do you guys have anything? How do you kind of audition or kind of plant the seed if you can be a part of it?
Typically, someone is invited there by someone that's a member, but they can show up and just get to know people by being a guest and go from there.
So it's sort of like the Masons in that way.
You have to have a secret handshake.
Yeah, you're part of the Illuminati is what I'm hearing here.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I have to admit it.
Yeah, you have to go through the different levels and stuff, and it's all about world domination. That's what it's coming down to, right? The New World Order, world domination, Illuminati takeover.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I think that...
starting with the Willamette Valley.
Yeah, starting with the Willamette Valley and spreading out from there. I think we've learned something here, Rob, that we didn't know about.
And he's using our radio station to...
Right, to really spread the Illuminati
so we're
to the
a part
masses.
of it.
And we are.
You're now a part of it.
We've been involved in it. And I think now that we've outed him, I think we'll be killed, probably. I think isn't that the way
you're
that
a part of it now.
Oh, okay.
You're in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought that...
Well, we don't know the secret handshake, but...
Well, this is true.
That's coming.
Yeah.
When do you guys meet?
Tuesday mornings.
Tuesday mornings?
6:45.
And the meetings typically...
That's in the morning.
In the morning, is it?
Yeah.
It's in the morning, Rob.
6:45 a.m.
in the morning.
Okay.
That's why they're called the Illuminati. They get up early.
Yeah. Nice.
Thank you.
How long do the meetings last, and what takes place? What do you guys talk about?
It's an hour long, and we talk about, we have a presenter, a primary presenter, a program talk, and then we have a product talk.
Who was Tuesday, this last week, who was your talk from?
Let's see, I'm on the spot now. They all start to blur together.
It was memorable.
Because they're scintillating.
I can say that we had a guest speaker from, I guess, a new tax initiative.
You weren't paying
that was a
attention,
memorable recent talk. I spoke actually not too long ago, a couple of weeks ago. Gave a product talk.
Nice.
So if folks want to get involved with the MBA, Mackenzie Business Association, and become a part of the Illuminati, how do they go about it?
Come and visit us, be a guest, and then ultimately you can fill out an application, and then we'll teach you the secret handshake.
Very good. You can go online, Google Mackenzie Business Association to find out more details and what it takes and how you can benefit. Morgan, thanks for joining us on the Wake Up Call.
You're a sport for showing up. Give Dr. B a little
Thank you.
Give a little
ribbing.
kick in the pants for us, would you?
All right.
And enjoy that beer.
All right. Thank you for the beer. Thank you.
You are welcome.
That's Morgan with Prize Design Group with the MBA. Hey, that's going to do it for us. We have just enough time to say au revoir.
Bye.
Enjoy the beautiful day, and I'll be back. One half of the wake-up call tomorrow at 6:05 right here on 1120 KPNW. Even with the greatest real estate we've seen in a decade, do you realize that 20% of homes go pending and then fall out, which ends up netting you, the seller, less money? The reason? You hired the wrong real estate agent. If you want a great price and have a great experience, hire Harpole Homes with Keller Williams Realty.
Fact, not all agents are created equal. When you sell your house with Eric and Jeanette's team, you get thousands more dollars in your pocket. With the extra money the Harpoles net you, you can take a vacation, pay off debt, or put more down on your next home.
How did the Harpole Homes do it? Negotiating, marketing, and their exclusive certified pre-owned home program. When you